Okay, everyone, we do have a quorum and I'm going to be calling this meeting to order. It is now 1:30 and call the budget committee of the whole meeting to order. And we start with an adoption of the agenda. So members of the committee, you have the agenda in front of you. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you, Councillor Davidson. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? That carries. Anyone have a disclosure of pecuniary interest? If so, please state the general nature. There is no pecuniary interest. Don't. Listen,
Who is trying to take out Council Lee's?
Let's not add any capital.
Council
we don't have any delegations. I don't believe. We'll go right into our scheduled business. Now, before we do that, I'd just like to make a few comments about this year's budget. We are in very difficult times. Residents in Richmond Hill are struggling with something financially that we haven't experienced in a very long time in Richmond Hill. When home prices are going up in the range of 5 to 10% every year, there's an ability to absorb the impact of the roughly 1% cost of property taxes that people have to pay. And when house prices are stagnant or even possibly declining to some degree, and interest rates are rising, and there's an acknowledgement from this committee, from council, that our residents are struggling with financial situations they haven't encountered in the past, and it's been a difficult year. Inflation has caused an increase in the price of everything we do here at the city, but we're also very cognizant of the fact that for homeowners and residents in Richmond Hill, those increasing costs are a reality that is not easy to endure, and we hope to see better times on the horizon. But as we prepare this budget, I'm very proud to say that your city of Richmond Hill, your council, and our financial staff here have done an excellent job in providing the same level of services. We've improved services in many areas, and we're having a very modest proposed tax increase that's very much in line, and perhaps even a little bit less than what inflation is today in this current economic environment. So the mayor's budget, I'm going to introduce the mayor shortly, and he'll be able to present that. But some of the highlights are really quite an achievement, and the key word is leverage. What we've been able to do through the mayor's budget is to leverage dollars for maximum impact, in the use of dollars that we have for a real impact for our residents, with the absolute minimum impact on the costs of those services. For example, we've really tackled the affordable housing issue in Richmond Hill. We have a real plan. We have some federal government dollars that are being leveraged to the max in a very good way. It's really good what this level of government does. We don't run deficits. We use the money that we have appropriately. The federal government has given us $8 million, and we've translated that into what will ultimately be, and we'll see that tomorrow, about 1,000 new purpose-built rentals. It's the governments itself would not be able to provide that, but working with the partnership in the private sector, reducing costs, development charge costs, creating a new tax class that allows non-luxury purpose-built rental to pay a lower property tax over time, because there's no point in collecting property tax on buildings that aren't being built. So we're going to see that those federal dollars leveraged for a real return for our residents. And we've also, through our other initiatives, we're going to have 3,000 to 5,000 new units of purpose-built rental in Richmond Hill. It's going to be a significant impact on the current rental market coming in the next 3 to 5 years. And you know, it's a real win, and it's not easy. And that we've opened up a cultural center. There's something that this city hasn't had, and there's no question about our rich, diverse culture that we have. But now we have a place and a location to celebrate and improve upon that wonderful, rich cultural heritage we have. So there's so many things here that are being leveraged, and we haven't borrowed money. We don't have the ability to print money, and at this level of government, we have to find creative ways. And what we've done to address an enormous demand on capital dollars to prevent flooding in Richmond Hill. We had to find some additional dollars, and we leveraged our own savings. We've used our own savings, a portion of that. So the only negative impact is a little bit less investment income, and we've used those dollars. We're drawing upon savings that Richmond Hills have. We're lending essentially some money to ourselves, going from one account to another for the maximum benefit for residents of Richmond Hill. It's a true crisis and an incredible expense that we were able to absorb because we've made prudent fiscal decisions in the past. So we have excellent reserves and an excellent position in terms of our reserves per capita and our ability to maintain our long-term repair and replacement for all of our facilities and infrastructure. And I'm just very proud to be a part of it. And you know, I just really want to assure our residents that your property tax dollars that you're paying into this corporation are being extremely wisely managed. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mayor West. So, okay, you're right. Okay, before I do that, I'm just so excited to have the mayor unveil his budget. We actually have a couple of presentations before that, and the first one's from our BIA, the Business Improvement Area, and we have a presentation by Sina Haven, the Board of Director and Treasurer, and Lena Gerges, the Board Director and Events and Accounting Coordinator for the Village of Richmond Hill BIA.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking the time to hear from us. My name is Lena, and I am the events coordinator for I'm the chair of the events committee for the City of Richmond Hill Business Improvement Area. And we would like to just give you guys a little bit of information about what we've been doing, what we're planning on doing. And this has definitely been a very exciting year for us. I think I speak for all of us to say it's probably one of the best years we've had as the BIA since COVID happened. And I think this year really marks the shift in the village itself and is really setting kind of the standard for what our residents as well as our business owners can expect for years to come. So for those of you who may not be familiar with who the BIA is, we are the Business Improvement Area. We represent pretty much the downtown village core. So from Major Mac up to Crosby, we represent the business owners and the landowners. And our mandate really is to bring bodies into the village and to share the wonderful, magical place that our historic village really is. And we do this through a series of different things. We do it with beautification. We do it through events. We do it through cross promotions, advertising, and things like that. And all of our members are our business owners and the landowners. So we have about 80 buildings or so in the village itself. We have a little over 170 businesses who are actively participating in various aspects of our activities, and we are continuing to go out, let the rest of our businesses know who we are and how it is that we can help them. Our goal really is to let York region and everybody within the region, as well as tourists, know that we're here, our businesses are here. We've got amazing restaurants. We have some really great places for people to stop by and visit. And that's really where our focuses are. So if you're wondering where our money comes from, it's a tax levy paid by the landowners and business owners. So it's not really property tax money. It's an additional levy that the city collects on our behalf. And then we go through and find various ways to use that in order to generate some benefit for our business owners and our landowners. Every dollar, obviously, that we collect goes right back into the activities of the village. It doesn't go anywhere else. So I had mentioned that this year has probably been our best. This year saw the introduction of a few very exciting things. The first was our Nowruz Bazaar and Women's Marketplace. So on International Women's Day in March, we hosted our very first Nowruz Bazaar here in the village at the Makani Center. And we partnered with the Small Business Enterprise Center. And we had women-led businesses who were vendors at our marketplace. We had roughly 200 people who came throughout the day. We had some great vendors out there. We brought in some really nice aspects of the Persian culture, introduced Nowruz to various people. Not everybody who was there was a Persian, so we were able to share a little bit of that and our, municipal culture with the outside. We also in September had our inaugural Six Senses Wellness Expo. This was a full day event hosted at the Center for Performing Arts, where we had various professionals in the village as well as outside in Richmond Hill. They're sharing some wellness. Think 5 senses plus mind, body, soul, which is where we got our 6th. We had speakers, we had demonstrations like meditation, sound bowl. We had makers from the village coming out, creating bath bombs and fairy dust, perfumes and various scents. We also had art schools out in the courtyard doing arts and crafts with the kids getting their hands in there. And we had a DJ out there to get some music going. We had about 355 people who we were able to capture who actually came in. Obviously, there's probably a lot more who came and went. Our vendors, we had about 26 of them. The Center for Performing Arts was packed. Our vendors were incredibly happy. They were able to get business. They had follow-ups. They were able to do demonstrations and things like that. And everybody had a really great time. And we're very excited to continue to have this happening every single year and to see it grow. And our third large event so far this year was Spooky Village. So we introduced Spooky Village, which is basically trick-or-treating in the village. We introduced it last year, and this year we more than doubled what we were expecting in terms of growth. So we had 36 businesses handing out candy to children in the village on October 25th. We had roughly, 600 kids plus their parents in costume coming up and down Yonge Street. And if you haven't had the opportunity to go onto social media and view the video recap, I encourage you to do so. It was absolutely adorable. I mean, people were slowing down to see all these little kids in full costume, families in costume running up and down the sidewalks. Make that very clear. Going into our businesses, physically going into businesses to collect their candy. And what we did as the BIA is we supplied that candy to our businesses so that there wasn't an additional financial burden to them to participate. We had them all kind of come in. They were able to collect a map. They got to go to each of their locations. And then at the very end, we had what we called our Monster Mash. So we had another DJ out in the courtyard of the Center for Performing Arts. He played some music. Our wonderful mayor came out and led our wonderful costume parade. Our councillors, Ward 2 and Ward 4 were there. Everybody handed out medals. Our MP as well, Mr. Vincent Ho, came out as well, shared a few words, and people absolutely loved it. Our mayor, he technically wasn't our mayor. He was there as a Blue Jay that day, but if there was a way for me to express the energy that was in the village that day. I don't know how I could put into words, but these are really the things that we as a board have been working to do and looking to continue to do. And our hope is to also add these things in for the holidays as they approach. In addition to that, we've obviously created some efficiencies within our own organizational structure. We've added the implementation of some software to reduce, time being spent, staff hours, things like that, for things that could be very much automated, like bookkeeping, things like that. We've introduced a new AI chatbot onto our website. So now people can visit the BIA's website and they can either type or speak in whatever language it is that they're most comfortable in to our website and ask where they can go within the village to find things like a dentist, a Mexican restaurant, kebabs, a florist. And this bot will now be able to answer them either by text or by voice in the language that they choose. So for the rest of this year, we do have a few things that we're still working on. We're looking to bring real light into the village for the holidays. We're looking at creating an event in the holiday space, whether it's going to be a one-day event or something similar to what we had in Spooky Village, where we are going to encourage people to go and visit our businesses, collect coupons, possibly have our BIA bear hiding from store to store and getting the kids out there to find our bear. We've got a lot of opportunities to really continue to expand. Our business owners are also hoping to be able to create some environments where they're able to chat with various members of police and council in order to talk about the safety within the village. And we're hoping to be able to facilitate those activities with them as well. We still have our first responders lunch that we do every holiday season, where we give back to our first responders who work so hard to ensure that our streets are safe and our members and our people are safe. It's only the beginning of what we have planned. So thank you for your time. And I'm going to pass it on to Sina, who's going to let you know how we're going to continue to do all of this from a money perspective.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Lena. So I'm going to go through the major budget topics and go through variances in comparison to last year. So for local and major event expenses, we are reducing costs by $400. We've now fully integrated a virtual meeting. So we were able to reduce costs by $4,100. And also, we are not going to attend the OBIA conferences. So that way, that would be another saving for us. For general expenses, we have increased a little bit. As you know, the utility and some software costs has gone up. So we had an increase of $1,355. For office rent and utilities, I don't know if you know, we have moved our office and we're able to save $15,000. For marketing, also, we were able to reduce the cost by $10,500, roughly. Now we introduce a new budget line, which is called street beautification, which we're going to have new plans during spring and summer, add additional cleaning, and listen to our members, because they have some ideas to be able to make the street more presentable in our area. So that new budget is $17,500. Professional service fee hasn't changed since last year, and also the employee salaries hasn't changed since last year. So we also, like every year since COVID, to help our members, we will try to cover some of these budgets. So we are covering $68,275 out of the budget, and we are requesting a levy of $100,000 this year. basically $20,000, roughly less than last year. That's it. Thanks for your time.
Very good. Okay. Very fantastic. You're levying less on your members than you had in the past year. That's always good to see. And I want to point out that, you know, the BIA is not requesting money from council or from the city. They're just asking for authorization to levy their members, and their budget is exclusively funded by the business members on a special levy. So, speakers, questions for the presenter, a motion to receive? Councillor Tree.
Oh, thank you so much for Lena, and also for got your name. I apologize for that. Thank you so much for hard work. So I know both myself and also Scott Thompson were sitting in the BIA for the entire year. We are observing, witness, and experiencing tons of activities. And thank you so much for your hard work. Put this spot in forward, and we are looking for more active village car for 2026. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Mayor West?
Actually, Scott, do you want to go second?
No, thank you very much.
Councilor
Through the chair, I do want to say that this is exactly where we wanted to be getting for some time since COVID, as Lena has advised. And I can't say enough about how things are moving in a direction that we've been trying to see it go for quite some time. So I certainly wholeheartedly endorse what is happening here. I believe the changes that we've made and changes in the budget as well are all steps in the right direction. So thank you for presenting, and looking forward to the rest of comments coming from my fellow colleagues.
Okay. Thank you. Mayor West?
Well, thank you very much. And first of all, I want to thank the two of you and the rest of the board, including Councillor Thompson and Councillor Tree. Lena, I like at the very beginning, you were saying that this is the best year for the BIA since COVID. I would actually suggest that it's probably the best year that I've ever seen for the BIA since I've been on council. So congratulations. And I really think that the village core right now is really has turned a corner, and we're starting to move in a very, very positive direction. I live very close to there, and so I drive that section of Yonge Street and so on quite often. And every single time I go by there, particularly in the evening, the place is packed. I mean, the restaurants are full. And, we've been to a number of grand openings and seen other businesses open that are really excellent. They're great quality, huge variety. I actually went by there today, and El Bacho has got a really cool sign up there, which is great, right? And the whole downtown village core is starting to really come alive. And I will say the Spooky Village was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I got there a little bit after it started, but as I'm driving up to the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts, where it kind of all culminated, I mean, the whole village core was just crawling with kids and adults, and they're all going into the stores. I would hazard a guess to say that a lot of those people maybe hadn't been to some of those stores, but due to the fact that they're going to get a treat in those stores, they had an excuse to go visit, and I think that was just great. I really believe that I know that the village core has had some negativity that's been attached to it over the years, but I really think I would challenge that now. I really think that the dynamic that's happening in the village core right now is something that's we haven't seen in a long time, and it's only getting better. And I think that's great. And I think that the work that the BIA is doing to do the core mandate things that the BIA is set up to do are being done, and they're being done in a really good way. And I think you're starting to see some traction. So I think that's great. Every time we have a busy evening there with restaurants, every time we have a great event going on there, it animates the village core. It attracts more people to want to come down there, and that is really what it's all about. And I will say, from the city's perspective, we've invested in the Richmond Hill Center of the Performing Arts a long time ago. I mean, that place is incredibly well used. The Ransom Park is one of the most beautiful parks with the Terry Fox statue that, we have. The Dave Barrow Square just south of there, we're on the verge of getting that completed. These are also investments that are really going to pay dividends for the village core. So the BIA is a very important piece, in my view, to the success of the village core, because you guys are the engine that are shepherding the businesses in that area and making sure that the beautification happens. I love the fact that you've got a line item specifically about that, and you're making sure, and I think as a past business owner myself, this is probably the most important part of it, is that you're seeing the marketing and going on for the village core that brings people and a customer for one business potentially becomes a customer for another business as well. So congratulations. I know it's a lot of work. I was on the BIA board for a number of years, but I really think that the work that's being done by this board collectively, including our two councillors, is really starting to pay off. So I'm really excited about that. So congratulations.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I echo the speakers before me, and Lana and Sina, thank you very much. When both of you are making presentation, I can feel the energy. I think that word was mentioned, and your passion. I think with a heart in it, board members like you certainly rejuvenate the whole spirit in terms of making positive, constructive changes. And I honestly believe success breeds success. When a business in the village core are actually doing well, restaurants full of people, then other places, then actually it helps to get the name out. So, and I'm very impressed. You actually bring in a budget. Wow, 20% reduction, 20,000 out of 100,000, right? That's a 20% reduction. That's really, you set the bar very high now for a number of folks working very hard on budgeting to work on, but congratulations. I have nothing more to say other than you might think about calling business improvement area to become best improvement area in the village core. And I wish you much success. The only thing I'm noticing that while it's getting mileage and on the marketing, but you're actually reducing in terms of dollars. So through Mr. Chair, maybe you touch on it, I miss it. So what would be the plan?
Oh, how did we do that?
Marketing, because you're reducing money.
Yeah.
Right?
So what we've done, and part of it is because of we're leveraging the experience of our board. Really, that's what it is. So we've got a very strong board of directors with a very unique skill set. And each of us are, business owners. We are some landowners who are also business owners. And with that skill set, we're able to implement different types of marketing strategy with the experiences that we have within our own businesses that can come to the BIA for little to no cost. And that's really where our goal this year when we were looking at our budget is what can we bring in? As an example, for Spooky Village, we implemented something called Eventbrite. It's an event ticketing platform, and because our event is free, it's $0 cost to us as a BIA to use it. But because of that, we had 1,200 registrations, and of that 1,200, roughly 80% of them were outside of Richmond Hill. So that free tool now has captured, let's say, 600 or 700 new identities that we are now able to market to using free software to then continue to bring them into future events. And that's really where it is that we trimmed down and we looked at what can we do, what can we use, what do we have?
Thank you. Maybe I would just close by, since you mentioned Flexi Space, and I was very impressed that Flexi Place actually not only provide free use of space, I hear that word, am I correct? But also is certainly beautify the side yard, the backyard. So I think that helps to bring people there as well. Congratulations, well done. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Tree, you did move receipt when you spoke. That's great. So I have a motion on the floor, and I just want to say, echo the comments of the mayor that this organization has come a long way. got back on council 7 years ago. There was, competing interests vying for control of the BIA, and there lost sense, I think, a little bit of what their mandate and purpose was. There was even talk of, just disbanding the effort altogether. But boy, I've seen an increasing improvement. You're at a point right now where you're so true to the mandate and coordinating and promoting the businesses in the area and the entire area. I'm now at the point where I would be comfortable supporting leveraging some assistance in funding. With the city has infrastructure there. The city has ownership of the street lights and things, and we want to coordinate and work with you to beautify that area. If you have some plans, you want to come forward and make suggestions. I don't think we need to alter the budget. I think there's contingencies and some flexibility in our budget to investigate helping you. So I look forward to partnering with you, and that's something I'm a strong believer in, is working together with community organizations like yourselves to further the true mandate that you have. And I think we're ready to and willing to do that. So I welcome your continued effort for the businesses you represent. Yeah, okay, so I'll call the vote on the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is we're going to hear from the Richmond Public Library. So we have a presentation from Mona Shanazari, the board chair, and Bruce Gorman, chief executive officer of the Richmond Public Library. It's up to a 25-minute presentation. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, members of the Budget Committee. My name is Mona Shanazari, and it is a pleasure to stand here before you again as chair of the Richmond Hill Public Library Board to provide highlights of our accomplishments in 2025 and to speak to our 2026 operating budget. 2025 was a great year at Richmond Hill Public Library, from the launch of our creative studio at Central and our library kiosks in the community to hosting more than 17,000 people across all our branches over just one of the past year's college-university study breaks. We have also reimagined spaces in both Oak Ridge's and Central branches, something we are all very excited about, and certainly more on this to come in our presentation. During the budget process, the library worked closely with the city and is proud to present a responsible budget to you, one that allows us to continue to provide the innovative programs and services Richmond Hill residents have come to expect from us. If you have driven past any of our wonderful libraries over the past year, especially in the evenings when the lights are on and the silhouettes of patrons are visible from the street, I hope you feel what we feel. That's our Richmond Hill. Rain or shine, blistering hot in July or freezing cold in February, our community, everyone in our community, whoever they are, whatever their experiences, can be found in library spaces across our city. Our relevance has never been greater, our impact never more apparent than now, where community and connectedness matter so much. We look forward to another excellent year in 2026. And with that, I will now hand it over to our CEO, Bruce Gorman, for further details and insight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mona. That's great. All right, thank you all so much. It's always a privilege to spend some time in front of council. Happy to do so. Probably told you in the past how much I love public libraries. I think they're the best things ever. I think they're heavy lifters in cities. And I want to talk a little bit about this past year and the upcoming year. So the parent organization of public libraries internationally is the International Federation of Library Associations. Actually, they hold a lot of weight around the world. They run conferences. They ran a conference a few months ago in Toronto that I attended. And the conference was titled, let me get it right here, From social isolation to social connection, libraries and well-being. And it reminded me of how essential libraries are to the public good, to the health and vibrancy of communities. And I found it quite interesting that an international organization, our international organization, was focused on social issues. It's also a reminder of how the value that you all get from supporting public libraries financially, how that really gives back to the community in pretty remarkable ways. I also think the economy is an interesting state. The chair mentioned this earlier. Affordability, cost of living, inflation, et cetera, is an important part of what libraries can do to help. When communities need social help, when they need economic help, libraries are at their best. And so that's going to be the flavor of a little bit of what I speak to you in these next few minutes as I flip the page here. So we are indeed the heart of Richmond Hill. We're the living room of Richmond Hill. We're the place where Richmond Hill comes together. And I'm going to tell you shortly about some really engaging new initiatives that are going to take that to a whole level. So our customers, as I call them, is everyone. So when I talk about our customers, that's the smallest child to older adults to everybody in between. So I often break that down a little bit into different categories. So let me talk about children for a moment, if you don't mind. So learning is so important to children, and play is really important to children. We follow the STEM learning approach, which is a common learning approach that schools all over the world use. STEM meaning science, technology, engineering, and math. So when young children come to a public library through our librarians and library professionals, they're learning the skills that they're going to need in life. And those skills I just mentioned are certainly skills that they're going to need in this modern world. Play is really important. It's important to their physical growth, cognitive growth, social and emotional growth. So we spend a lot of time working on play. I'm going to tell you shortly, I'm teasing you here, about an initiative at Oak Ridges where we spend a lot of time deciding what kind of toys we would bring and how young people would engage with toys. We are a place that fosters the love of reading for young people, more important than ever that they start reading at a younger age. And something that I've seen too, so in something like our story times, which you can see in the pictures above there, and I've seen this many years and I love it, that parents and caregivers, when they come to bring their young people to the public library, they create friendships and they create bonds and social connections that improve their lives. Here's a statistic from this conference I went to. 66% of parents report regular loneliness. And I often say that libraries are the antidote for loneliness. So teens, I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years. Spent a long time working with teens. I think teens are really important to foster their ability. They're our future. And I'm a bit more worried about teens than I have been in other years. I think they're too wrapped up in social media. Here's a statistic again, 54% of high school students in Canada report significant levels of psychological distress and loneliness. Youth employment right now in Ontario is 22%. And we're not sure what the future of work is going to look like. My colleagues previously talked about AI. If you watch the news today, you'll hear a story about AI. What is the future of work going to be like for these young people? Here's, for those of you who watch 60 Minutes, which I did last Saturday or Sunday, this is from the Anthropic. He's the CEO of a big AI company, Dario Amodi. He said half of all white-collar entry-level jobs will be gone in 1 to 5 years, and that unemployment will spike 10 to 20%. Now, he's a futurist, he's an alarmist, he's an American, but I wonder about the jobs that these young people are going to have, and I know that we are the people that can help them. They come to our library every day to learn, to work together, to study. Mona just mentioned, and I have another slide on that during study week, we had over 17,500 people in here studying. Studying to the teens is more important than it's ever been. And we are a happy home for them to study, but also for them to socially develop, which I think is equally important to the young people. Let's talk about adults for a moment. We have a wide variety of programs for adults to support their day-to-day needs and the different world that they live in, from work to enjoyment. This new space that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, the living room that I'm going to talk about, is going to be another remarkable place where the community come together and adults can come together to learn amazing new things that we haven't been able to do previously at the library. Lifelong learning is more important. People work in gig economies. They have multiple jobs. It's not like the days of the past where people had one job for their lifetime. So we have programs like LinkedIn Learning, which you can get certification in programs. There's thousands of programs on there that can help your education, all for no cost or the cost of the taxpayer contribution, which, by the way, is $52 a year for taxpayers in Richmond Hill. I think that's the deal of a lifetime. And jobs are on people's minds. 50% of Ontarios are concerned about job security right now. Cost of living, as I mentioned, finances, personal finances. We have a variety of programs on how to write your resume, taxes, financial literacy programs. You see, we have a small marketplace event that we had where people can come and show off their small businesses. The Community Threads program on the screen there. So we have gently used clothes for someone who may come to us to help write a resume and then come to us to help provide clothing so that they can go and do great in an important interview in their lives. So yes, those are groups I often talk about, but everybody is who we serve. Families is included, as I move the slide ahead here. So we have programs for families where we use therapy dogs to read programs for adults and young children. Coding these days, if you're not going to be in the technology game in some way as you learn, you're likely going to be losing out. Our summer reading program, which we have every year, encourages young people to read and families to come together. This past year, we had 2,000 plus kids participate. Diversity, we are the home for everybody. We're the neutral place where everybody can come. We're the first place for new Canadians, for sure, when they come. We have Indigenous programs. We have our canoe garden right outside our library. We had a very popular Tehran book fair where almost 5,000 people attended. Emancipation Day, we had a celebration for Emancipation Day just recently too. Outreach. So we put library kiosks. I think I mentioned this last year, but I was just new, so I barely knew what I was talking about last year. And we have concerts in the park, the visiting library service, so this is a unique service where we go out, we curate books for people who can't easily get out of their homes. We bring them books for them to enjoy in their home. That can't be, I don't know where you're going to find one-on-one kind of service anywhere, municipal government included. And that is also a lifeline to those people. If I ask the people who go visit them, the first thing they'll say is they're invited in for tea every time. But that's a powerful relationship that we have. We've had events with the local mall, and I mentioned the concerts in the park. So we are a place for everyone, and we're everywhere in the community. Creativity, so we have this creative studio that we're just launching now. It's on our second floor in Central. We'll expand it, but it's all these cool tools that allow people's creativity to expand, and right from sewing machines to laser cutters, but more it's a social place where people can come together and undertake whatever it is that they might want to undertake in a social environment and get new friends and and have enjoyable times. As I said, I think people need people more than ever, and public libraries, whatever reason you're coming for, whether you're learning or whether you're socializing or whether you're going to take in a great event, there are really few places in society that allow that to occur, and we are one of those places, and we've never been busier in our life. Some of the economic social reasons I suggested earlier indicate that. We continue to do really well from a stats point of view, from our key performance indicators, just a few of them on the screen for you there. So this is our website visits. We did a revamp. of our website, which showcases why it has such a enormous increase. That's probably over 800% increase. But our website, in many ways, is another branch for us. You can get all your materials, and there's lots of other good learning. And I mentioned LinkedIn learning, the database. So you can sit at home and engage with our website and feel like you're in a branch, which is awesome. Programming, I've said this numbers of times, maybe not in front of you all, but programming is going to be the future success of public libraries, and you'll hear about that in a minute or two. But we've done a really good job with programming. We've increased our programming from 2023 to 2025. That's an 11% increase, but I'm very focused on programming. I think it's really the key to our success. Obviously, ebooks, audiobooks, that circulation continues to grow. People always ask me, what about the books? What about the books? What's going to happen to the books? The books will always be there, and I can't curl up with my iPad very easily like I can with a book. But audiobooks and ebooks and the like are an important part of our future, and the community loves them. And to be able to download or log onto your public library site before you get on the plane and download a travel book to wherever you might be going is not a bad thing. And our branch visits are up as well from 2023 to 2025 year to date. So we're up 11%, but that's year to date. So that number's going to go way up in the next month and a half. So even more than 11% over the next couple of years. And my intent in my role is to see that number go up a lot, which is what I'm going to talk to you about in our 2026 priorities. So this is Oak Ridges. It's a lovely modern library, very busy library. And part of my library career has been about spaces. So I have a keener eye on spaces. And the children's space, I didn't like it as much. It's a nice space, but not as nice as it could be. We had a local donor who wasn't looking for anything in return, pure donors, which is what I call them. I love them. Approached us and talked about donating some money to the Oak Ridges Library, where him and his family spend their time. And we sat down and talked about changing this, the Children's Corner. So that's what we're going to do. I mentioned previously, that's what I was talking about when I suggested that our library staff spend a lot of time talking about toys and play and having the right kind of play experience. So that's what we're working on right now. We really didn't have enough toys. We didn't have enough things for the children to do. I don't quite understand, but I'm here now and we're changing it. So this strategy, although born of Oak Ridges, will be throughout our organization. So kids will come and have exciting play experiences. And I previously mentioned all the benefits of play for the young kids. So we're looking forward to that. Probably going to start that project in the next month or two. Okay, so this is probably the project I'm most excited about. Like I said, maybe I'm a disruptor. Probably I am a disruptor, but I don't do it with the sake of disruption in mind. I do it because I think that it's really well needed. So our central branch in the middle of the city, the heart of the city, lovely branch, 33 years old, and really not much has been ever done to that branch. Now, I've just explained a few things, a few reasons why libraries have completely changed in 33 years, yes, but even in the past decade, they're completely different than they used to be. We need this gathering space. And in this city, from my perception, as someone who doesn't live here, or new to the city, should I say, the building is in the middle of the city. Usually I'm used to seeing city buildings in the middle of the city, but this is the middle of the city. It's a natural gathering place. I don't know how many other gathering places there are where people can come together at no cost and undertake events of all kinds. So we're redoing it. We're working with the city. They're participating in replacing carpet and tile, and we are going to reimagine the third floor, northern end of the third floor into a big living room, flexible space that we can change it from a study space with more seating to an event space, which is the image you see on the top of the screen there. I could go on if you give me half an hour, and I could tell you about all the different types of events that you could have there. They're endless. They enrich the community. I think it'll make the community even that much more cohesive as this place to come together for events of all kinds. I couldn't be more excited about it. That project likely will. It's already started. Hopefully, later in 2026, we'll have the mayor over to open it up and start a new journey for public libraries. I've spent a lot of time in this kind of living room environment. Typically, in other centers where I've done this, it's pretty close to an immediate 20% increase in the gate count in the library, which I'll be happy to have. And then me and the mayor are both in cahoots here. We think that Dave Barra Square is going to be awesome. I sheepishly put that big circle there, which kind of indicates that the library is in the middle of it all. The mayor's been over. We've had good discussions how we can seamlessly integrate with that space, but there's previous comments here. I think Dave Barra Square is going to be a game changer for the community and add to this narrative of the city, the city center as a destination for people to come in. And we could easily, on a rainy day when something outside was going on, we could easily host whatever that outside activity might be. So couldn't be more excited about that. And we're working on our new strategic plan. I think times are different. I suggested that to you in this presentation than they've ever been. I have a lot of ideas about our strategic plan, but I think it's going to vault us for the next 5 years and really narrate how important public libraries really are to communities and how the $10 million that you guys spend on us a year is really what I would say is the deal of a lifetime. I think you get a lot back for that money, and I hope I've given you a few indicators of why that is and how rich our future is. Okay, so the 2026 budget, you can see the base there. The base is things that primarily are out of our control, personnel costs, COLA, step increases, benefits. We worked with the city for IT, so there were some small IT increases that were required, contractual mostly. We had a small right sizing of a revenue line that was not being realized for a total of $549,000, which is 5% of the ask. I can't do much about that. That's to keep the lights on. That's an investment in the public library. And the growth side of the equation, I'll say this time and time again, the city manager has heard me say this many times, that additional staff is what's going to light up this public library. To my knowledge, we haven't had an additional FTE at the Richmond Hill Public Library in at least 10 years. So that's what's going to light up this library. So along this journey, myself, and full credit to the city manager for seeing how important this was to us. We had a part-time position. We do that the city manager was supportive of, and I'm presenting it to you as a conversion to a full-time position, and that's going to be dedicated to programming. So I really couldn't spend better money, $30,000 of discretionary money on an up conversion of a position, in addition to the mandatory costs. So the other storyline, and the chair mentioned it in his opening remarks, it has been a challenging year at the City of Richmond Hill from a budget perspective. I sit at the ELT table, or sit there on occasion when needed and during the budget deliberations included. So I'm fully aware. Heavy lifting needed to be done, and we wanted to do our part as well. So we were directed to reduce our budget by $125,800. So my approach to ensuring, as the chair also said, that we have minimal impact on the staff. We did make a change for the 2026 budget, reducing some iPads which weren't being used effectively, and we're this year, 2025, which is a significant difference between when I was here last year and talking about the budget. We are doing well. We're achieving all our goals. We're being strategic, and we hope to abate the 125 with any surplus we may have this year, and otherwise there is some opportunities next year. So I'm committing to you here today that decrease will not impact the public experience by reduced collections or reduced numbers of items. They shouldn't feel that at all. That's my commitment to you today. The final slides there are really going over what I previously said. The line items, personnel is the most one I just meant, is the most significant I just mentioned. There's a way in which that the city funds our collections. So that 2.2 number under expenditures, collection, development is actually the net difference between the reserve account, which you help fund the collections, and that number. So it's actually a 0.1% increase. That would be a line that was higher previous to the second review of our budget. The rest of them are all small increases. Again, I think that what we're asking for punches far above our weight. We look forward to doing more this year. These new spaces we're creating are going to be this ideal opportunity to introduce more people to the library. I say that I have the 10 or 15% of the people. I want the other 85%. But if we have all these great events, then they'll come too, and that's good for all of us. So I'm happy to stand behind my budget. Look at that. I finished almost on time. And I'm going to leave you with this quote from the conference I was at, saying the most connected society in history is now the most disconnected ever. I don't want to be an alarmist, but so there's some of the realities. Those are social realities that are happening now, and economic realities. And as I said, we are a real antidote for social issues and financial issues too. We can help people learn, and we can connect them. And very happy to be here asking for your full support of our budget. And I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Some good news from the library. Okay. Somebody want to move the receipt of the presentation? Councillor Silovitz?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Bruce and Mona, for a wonderful presentation. Just a couple of things. Very, very happy to see, to hear about the changes coming to Central. So Central and Richvale are in Ward 5, which is my ward. Didn't know anything about any changes coming to Central inside. So I'd very much like to meet with you. My executive assistant will contact your office.
Lovely.
And I'd love to have an on-site visit, and you can show me exactly what we're going to do there. We did that at Richvale as well, and it was one of the best on-site visits I'd had. So I look forward to that. Ava will contact you.
Excellent.
And just speaking of Richvale, so it's not mentioned anywhere here, and it should be. Richvale is a very, very important part of our neighborhood library. And I would just respectfully say that I would like to see more information given about Richvale and also on the website, because while it's used primarily by everybody who lives around there and the school children at Charles Howard, it's vastly unknown to the rest of Richmond Hill. And while it is small, it's fantastic. Inside there, from the renovations, it is absolutely outstanding. There's a meeting room there that goes very much unused. And I think we can utilize that room as well. And it's revenue to the library, the same as we use rooms A and B upstairs at Central. So from my perspective, I would like to see Richvale spoken about more. And indeed, we all look forward to the Dave Barrow Civic Square renos that are coming, and it's going to be quite something. So thank you again. I fully support the recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Davidson.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, thank you, CEO Bruce, and thank you, Mona. Myself, Councillor Thompson, and Councillor Liu are on the library board. I want to say I've seen an incredible improvement in the communication between the city and the library and the city. I think we have a really steady, serious board that goes through things, and I'm confident that this budget has been well discussed and researched. And while we all have budgetary constraints, I think we're making the most of the money that the library does have. I appreciate that you're looking at things like maximizing spaces in places like the Oak Ridges Library, which is my ward. The library was almost too small before it opened, and now we're going to have a high school in the next few years right next door. So I really like that it's not just about what some of us who aren't in the library world think of, you know, the books and what do we have in terms of resources, but the bigger picture and what else it brings to the community. So I support this budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor West.
Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Mona, for the hard work that you both do. And Mona, thank you for your volunteer work on the board, and to the rest of the board, and including Councillor Davidson, Councillor Liu, and Councillor Thompson, who I know also sit on the library board. And I think we've seen, the library's always been great in Richmond Hill, but I think we've really seen some real movement in recent times in the library. So I thank you for the leadership that you're all providing. I totally support the budget, and I appreciate all the work that the library has done in trying to keep the costs down and so on, like every other department here. But I just wanted to also comment on, I really do appreciate the work that you and I have done, Bruce, on looking at how the library is going to fit into the Dave Barrow Square plans. And you know, it's really like, the library has always been the central library has always been an incredibly beautiful building, incredibly unique location in Richmond Hill, but it's going to become way more than that now with the Dave Barrow Square investments that we're going to be making. It's going to really be an anchor in that whole area. And it's exciting to know that we've got such a dynamic and changing model for the library, you know, beyond just the traditional books and, you know, the librarian telling everybody to shush all the time. And the plans that you've got in play now for the renovation of that main part of the central library is going to be incredibly important in and of itself, but it's also going to be incredibly important as a synergistic part of the whole, Dave Barrow Civic Square central location in Richmond Hill. So I'm really pleased that we're at this time with the way that the library is going right now. And keep up the good work. Libraries are incredibly important spaces for everybody, but also and especially for people who are newcomers to our communities. And I think what you're providing in the model that we're heading towards and in the library is a place that really is more of it's a community center, based on learning, growing, and developing, and that sets it apart from the other community amenities that we have. And it's only the library that can produce that kind of impact in our community. So I thank you very much for the work that we're doing, and this budget reflects how we get to that goal. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. CEO, Mona, and Bruce. Thank you for the presentation. Having also served on Richmond Hill Library Board in the past for almost a decade, I understand. I mean, I always consider library as an extension of our city community center. And decades ago, I was one of those 175,000, I think that's the number of attendance, study extended hours for my bar exam and all that. So I know how it feels. And on the face of it, 6% seems to be, wow, high number. But I do understand the library has going through transition. And I remember last budget, even before last, in this term. So I understand how progress has been made. And congratulations, and particularly I'm very impressed, and Bruce, you remember, I so happened to be there while the first kiosk was put in
Nice.
Sackville Arena, totally unplanned for, but I'm so glad to see the soft launch, and I happened to be there. So I think the whole theme of reaching out, I mean, the world is not the same as it used to be. So I think that particular approach, I'm glad is going to continue expand into. My colleagues talk about different branches. I haven't heard, maybe I miss it. What about this library, Richmond Green, is actually right next door to a high school. And I wonder, for you, Mr. Chair, to what extent that particular may not be significant, particular difference there may be compared to other more community-based branch, either Richfield on Pearson or Oak Ridges in the future when next to a high school. So for Mr. Chair, just try to get a sense. Is there any kind of difference?
So I have pretty deliberate thoughts on all the branches, including Ridgevale. And in fact, I think Ridgevale is just a golden jewel where it is. And to be honest, I couldn't do much to make Ridgevale better. I think the neighborhood branch model is a lovely model. That's kind of the only one we have in this city. And I think it's working really well. I may be able to get more people in the program rooms. But for that neighborhood, it's just a golden jewel, right? So I don't have a huge, interest in doing a lot more. I can bring more people there, but I think it serves its role really well. And as far as the school library goes, yeah, so that's on my mind because that I forget the name of it, but the
Richmond Green.
no, the next to it, no, the thing next to it, the school that's opening.
Richmond Green. Oh, no, you're not thinking about Richmond Green. Oh, you're not Oak Ridges.
Oh,
You're talking about Oak Ridges.
Joe Clark.
Dr. Stevenson, yeah.
Joe Clark.
Dr. Stevenson High School.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yes, I did get that confused. Yes, because I was talking about Oak Ridges. Sorry. Yeah. So school libraries in schools are unique and different. That one works really well. I've been through the library and been through the school and met the principal. It's not quite like it doesn't give the opportunity to do some of the things that other libraries that aren't attached to schools are. So in that particular area, there are a lot of new developments, a lot of new homes. And I do get the message, nothing against teens. I think teens are so important, but I do get the message that a family who just moved in goes into that library and sees that it's really a library full of teens and is a little bit uncomfortable, right? So I have more work to do there, and I'm not sure what we're going to do, but it's a bit different. It doesn't respond in the same way because it really is primarily full of young kids, vibrant young kids as they are, right?
Thank you for the answer because I do feel it a bit different. That's why I asked the question.
Yes.
How do this administrators find out in terms of the challenges? But again, it's good that to have young people to be closer to where the books and e-books, whatever,
Absolutely,
and showing somewhere else, right?
Absolutely.
On that note, and maybe we touch base offline because it's not quite a budget item per se. But I'm thinking about that to the extent that there's still some kind of potential land arrangement in the south, in Bayview and Blackmore. We'll touch base later. And there's potential opportunity to do something there if perhaps in the future. But I want to congratulate the board, congratulate the staff. As I mentioned, continuing with these outgoing and reaching out. But I also like the creative studio, and I can see the photo, how proud that people are showing off, the parents, right, using public resources, maybe doing the 3D printing, right? I was tempted in Oak Ridge to try that too. Last thing I want to touch on is the meeting rooms. I mean, I for one, I I try to book meeting rooms in Central Library as well as Oak Ridges Library to the extent possible. But also, so it's fantastic place because people in the community would know usually where the library is. Only one thing I find out, perhaps it may be working in the future, is that apparently the accounting system between the library and the city are not working yet. It's just my personal experience, but we can take it offline and see how we can better improve.
Good.
But there's something to look at, how better, not necessarily integration, but coordination in the future. But thank you very much. Go Library, go.
Good.
Not Blue Jays this time.
Mr. Chair, can I respond to the question about Oak Ridge? Sorry, I confused the branches there. What's the school? What's it? I get a little, I still have a little bit of new car scent left. So the facility that's next to the Oak Ridge School, that's the one. What's the name of that? Right. Yeah. And so that is also a concern. So that school opens in September of 2027. And I've been told by the school board that that is going to bring 1,200 young people to that school. So that's something that Councillor Davidson and I have talked about that, but that's something that we need to work on. That's in my head as well. But that's something that we'll need to work on.
Okay, very good. Councillor Tree is next.
Okay, thank you so much. I did see a lot of the new project coming, both in Oak Ridge and also the Central Library. So the first one question is regarding the Central Library. For the third floor revitalizations, what is your target for the more seats, like a 20% increasement or maybe a similar number?
Are you reading my report, Councillor? Because that's what it is. It's 20%.
Perfect. That's my guys. Okay. Perfect. The second question regarding to this $500,000 for personnel budget. I just curious to find out how many FTEs we're going to convert, how many new staff we were hiring under this budget.
So no, so we're up converting a part-time position to a full-time position.
How many?
Just one.
Just one person?
Just one position from a part-time to a full-time. And the cost of that is $30,000.
Okay, so yeah, I see the large number of $500,000. I thought maybe we could convert to more. Just one resource is 30.
Well, you can talk to Darlene right there.
Yeah, I don't have a further question. I know there are pressures for personnel, so salaries and benefits, increase, etc. So yeah, I just want to find out how many FTEs we're going to be in place. Thank you. I don't have further questions.
Okay. Thank you. So I don't see any other speakers. I just want to thank also Mona and Bruce for all the work that you do, and the three councillors, Davidson, Thompson, and Liu, that sit on that board and are achieving success in this term of council. I think I can safe to say more so than last term. And this term of council has a spirit of cooperativeness, and I think that's also translated to the library. The collaboration between the city and the library is excellent right now, and I'm happy to see that. I know that you're still operating under some austere measures that were implemented some time ago. The library helped us to balance our budget here at one time, not long ago. And if you're now that it's thriving, it's properly fulfilling its mandate and clearly, engaging the community, and it's so important now when people are disconnected and isolated, that the library performs such a critical function that if you do in future years, like you said, need to examine your personnel or come in with additional requests, I think now's the time to expand what you do, or look into a careful process where we want the library doing even more than it's doing today. So thank you very much. I'll call a vote on the motion to receive. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Okay, very good.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Now we're at the part where Mayor West is going to introduce the 2026 draft budget. It's my great pleasure to introduce Mayor David West. to unveil our look at our 2026 budget. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and it's a real pleasure to be here today to walk you through this budget. Before I begin, I just want to say this is going to be a bit of a longer presentation, so everybody get comfy. But I think it's important that we really, this is the entirety of the budget that's going to be presented. So I do want to make sure that we spend the time to go through this and make sure that we look at all corners of the budget through this presentation. So with that being said, as I said, I'm really excited to walk you through this budget. I am presenting this budget this year because legally under the Ontario Strong Mayor legislation, this is actually the mayor's budget. But I want to be very clear that to my Richmond Hill residents, staff, and council that this is our budget, and in no way am I intending to exercise any strong mayor powers. I'm certainly open to discussion and working collaboratively throughout this process like we always have. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Regional Local Councillor Joe DiPaolo for his work as chair of the Budget Committee of the whole for this term and a lot of time now. And really thank you, and also the Richmond Hill City staff who dedicated countless hours to this important process. The time and effort that has been invested will become evident as we proceed through this presentation, and I'm really grateful to everyone who was involved for the care that you have throughout this entire process. So thank you very much to staff. Our budget is more than numbers on a page. It's about services that you can rely on every day, the infrastructure that keeps our city moving, and the investments that we're making to build a stronger, more connected community. It's an investment in what we value as a community. And I say we because the city's budget really is everybody's budget. It's your budget. It reflects all of our values and priorities and ensures that Richmond Hill remains vibrant, resilient, and welcoming for generations to come. We've created this budget with you in mind because Richmond Hill is your town and it's our town as well. Many people have put a lot of thought into this plan. It's shaped by the challenges we've faced, the progress we've made, and the opportunities that we see ahead. Whether it's fixing roads, upgrading parks, improving emergency services, or planning for future growth, this budget is about making sure Richmond Hill continues to be a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. We know that the world is changing fast and we're adapting. We're trying to be smart with our spending, thoughtful with our planning, and focused on what matters most to our residents. So today, I'll walk you through where your tax dollars are going and what we're building and how we're preparing our future together. So let's get started. So I am very grateful for the council team and colleagues that I have had the pleasure of working with and for the past 3 years. This current Richmond Hill Council has steadied the waters, brought stability and respect back to council, and has worked collaboratively with staff to accomplish some great things. Our 2026 budget is a forward-looking, long-term financial strategy for our growth and evolving community. With our commitment to fiscal prudence and sound investment and continuous improvement, this budget reflects Richmond Hill's values and vision. It's our pledge to continue delivering high-quality services that the people of Richmond Hill rely on every day. Today, I'll show you how we're putting the focus on people and how we're maximizing every tax dollar to deliver the most to our community. You'll see that this makes this budget a plan to help the city grow innovatively and sustainably, and how we're using tax dollars to prudently making smart investments and are always looking for ways to improve. I'll also share with you key accomplishments from 2025, highlights of the proposed 2026 budget, and recommendations for council's considerations. So how do we build the budget? Putting together Richmond Hill's budget is a 365-day job, informed by the city's strategic plan and the budget strategy, which is endorsed annually by this budget committee. City staff work closely with all departments to build the 2026 budget. We've looked at the forecasts and past trends and reviewed every single detail so that everything is taken into consideration. To hear from the community, we ran online surveys before the summer. We got lots of feedback and learned what the people of Richmond Hill value most, and we kept that top of mind when we were building this budget. We also shared the results with council that helped to shape department budgets. All this diligence and hard work ensures that we deliver the best budget to our community and the best services people rely on every single day. That's why we take every tax dollar seriously. We plan and make decisions carefully, always with the people of Richmond Hill top of mind. We've invested in the essentials of roads, water, fire services, etc., while keeping costs under control, and we've made things more efficient. For example, Access Richmond Hill handled over 117,000 inquiries in the past year, and we're leading the way in waste diversion. Did you know that 68% of our waste is kept out of landfills? It not only saves money, but it also helps the environment. And in short, we strive to improve the lives of everyone every day. Our world is changing, and there are many things happening that affect our budget that are beyond our control. And here are a few examples. Inflation continues to drive the cost of everything up for everyone every day. That means that the city is also paying more and more to deliver the same services to our community. The good news is that inflation has come down. In September, that number was 2.4%. The Bank of Canada further reduced its benchmark interest rate to 2.25% in October. That being said, some of the long-term contracts still carry higher costs from previous years. Richmond Hill is growing fast, and although that's a good thing, it also means that the city will have to deliver more. By 2031, we will welcome more than 25,000 new residents. That means that increased demand for housing, transit, and other day-to-day services, and the city will also need to maintain and build more infrastructure like roads and buildings. Provincial and federal legislative changes like updated recycling programs, development planning rules, and new housing targets are also beyond our control. These changes can shift priorities and costs overnight, impacting how we plan our budget. So how do we adapt to all of these uncertainties? In short, we're staying focused, flexible, and innovative to meet our community's evolving needs. And here are some examples of how we do it. We've repurposed vacant positions and held off on new hires. For example, only 4 new positions were added to this budget instead of the 42 originally projected. We've extended our Public Works Enhancement Program this funding phase from 8 to 10 years, and our new firefighters funding phase from 5 to 7 years. We've used our Tax Rate Stabilization Reserve Fund to pay for one-time costs like non-recurring studies. We increased our revenue opportunities by recovering costs from user fees that have a 2% indexing. We also recovered costs from non-tax supported programs to support our operating budget. We innovatively found new ways to save and earn, like making the Sports Dome usable year-round. And that helps us navigate this sea of change and uncertainty. To put it simply, the 3 pillars of Richmond Hill's strategic plan, they guide us in every decision that we make to ensure we're staying the course and heading in the right direction. A strategic plan is a long-term roadmap. It guides how Richmond Hill makes decisions, invests in projects, and delivers services. It sets clear goals based on what our community needs and explains how we'll reach them. For the budget, the strategic plan shows us where to spend money to improve services, infrastructure, and the quality of life, connecting big picture goals with everyday spending so every tax dollar is used wisely and transparently. And when it comes down to it, our strategic plan helps us match our financial resources to the city's priorities. This means that tax dollars go toward the things that matter most to our community while making clear how and why decisions are being made that way. It guides our long-term planning for infrastructure, services, and policies. It tracks progress with clear benchmarks so we can adjust as needed. And it invites the public to share ideas to help shape the future of our community. Our current 24 to 27 strategic plan is for both the community and the organization. It focuses on outward-facing priorities for those who call Richmond Hill home, as well as the internal work needed to support those goals. It's the principle that we use to align city goals, resources, and actions. The 2026 budget builds on the progress that we made in 2025 and keeps the momentum of implementing the strategic plan. Last year, we hit some significant milestones, from upgrading infrastructure and improving services to strengthening our finances. These successes give us a solid foundation for the years ahead. Our accomplishments last year show how the city has delivered services to the highest standards. It's part of our commitment to transparency, accountability, and continuous improvement. So here's what we've been doing to make our community greener, safer, and more livable. We've worked with residents and small businesses to plant almost 9,000 trees through our community stewardship program. We've created an affordable housing concierge program to help build homes for more people. We've fixed and upgraded 1,000 meters of roads, 850 meters of storm sewers, and 1,000 meters of water mains. We've expanded our traffic safety and operations strategy with 18 new traffic calming locations, almost done, and 15 more coming this year. We've completed Richmond Hill's first comprehensive zoning bylaw to set modern development standards. And we've achieved these accomplishments with the help of people in Richmond Hill in mind. And in 2025, we continued to keep the focus on people. We partnered with Miss Kawadaze Studio to create Indigenous medicine gardens at 5 locations across Richmond Hill. We worked with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation to develop Ojibwe waterway signage in support of the Truth and Reconciliation 94 calls to action. We delivered 9,800 recreation programs with more than 64,000 participants. And our community and cultural grant program supported 25 projects with a record $96,200 in funding. We trained 173 firefighters to NFPA standards and provided over 18,000 hours of specialized training to keep our community and our firefighters safe. And we've opened a new cultural center in the historic old post office building in the village core. These accomplishments were built on the strong foundations, so last year we continued to strengthen them more. We approved over $1 billion in building permits for close to 1,300 projects, from homes to businesses and industrial buildings. We completed the city's new responsible pet ownership and animal regulation bylaw. And as I said earlier, Access Richmond Hill handled a staggering 17,804 inquiries, which is 3,000 more than last year. And speaking of customer service, we also launched our first service charter to clearly set expectations for our service standards, essentially a pledge to our customers. And we've updated the corporate asset management plan to better plan and forecast for the facilities and infrastructure in our growing and evolving community. I've only chosen a few of the 2025 accomplishments to show you today because there's simply too many to list here. So looking back at 2025, we've learned what matters most to the people of Richmond Hill. This insight shaped the plans in our budget. That 2026 budget is about keeping essential services strong, investing in infrastructure, and making sure our finances stay healthy in a very uncertain world. So Richmond Hill continues to be a vibrant, resilient, and well-managed community. By focusing on continuous improvement and innovation, we've been making significant strides to increase efficiency at every level of our organization so that we can deliver the very best services to our community. Since 2018, we've used the lean management philosophy to cut waste and improve how we work. This means focusing on what matters most for people while using fewer resources. It's about reducing red tape, streamlining processes, and finding innovative ways to deliver great services. And here are some examples of what I'm talking about. Through this continuous improvement program, we've saved $2.7 million between 2022 and 2025. In early 2025, we moved to a 24/7 bylaw enforcement by converting 8 parking enforcement officers, or CSOs, into positions of community standards officers at a cost of only $2,000 per year. CSOs now handle parking plus urgent bylaw issues like noise, tree cutting, and road obstructions, even overnight and on weekends. We've also launched an after-hours bylaw line, routing calls directly to the CSOs, thus eliminating the need for one after-hours officer and redeploying them to a higher demand area, keeping service levels strong. By making these changes, we've improved the city's service delivery with faster responses, including 500 after-hours complaints resolved within 1 hour. And at the same time, we reduced staff sick time, increased our parking fine revenue. So last year, we changed the game by reintroducing the municipal inspector role and converting some senior positions to these roles. By the end of this year, the team will have 5 senior inspectors and 3 municipal inspectors instead of 8 senior-only positions. This made hiring easier because we've tapped into a bigger talent pool, set clear career paths for inspectors to grow, and last but not least, save money through lower salary costs. We've launched the water e-billing portal in 2024, and this portal gives people a more convenient way to see their water bills and pay them online, anytime and anywhere. That means mailing out fewer paper bills for the city, and it saved us over $50,000 and counting. Not to mention improving our customer service levels. And the Canada Post disruptions really highlighted to many why signing up for water e-billing is a smart thing. Less paper means fewer cut trees, and we're not done saving trees. We're launching a portal for property tax billing next year, so please stay tuned for that. Now the time has come to take a dive into our 2026 budget. But first, how does a municipal budget work? Richmond Hill's budget, like all other municipalities' budgets, are made up of 2 parts. There's the operating budget and the capital budget. The operating budget covers the city's day-to-day costs, things like waste collection, snow clearing, recreation programs, IT, utilities, and insurance. And it also funds the library and keeps our assets in good shape. The operating budget is tax and rate supported, which means that property taxes, water fees, user fees, as well as our reserves are used. The capital budget, on the other hand, covers the city's big projects like building new infrastructure and keeping what we already have in good repair. Things like our roads, community centers, parks, and trails, and it's funded by reserves, development charges, and government grants. Simply put, the operating budget keeps our city running every day, and the capital budget builds and invests in our future. Together, they make sure that Richmond Hill stays safe, connected, and ready for growth. So taking a look at this graph, it shows the city's tax-supported operating budget compared to last year's overall budget. This part of the budget covers the day-to-day costs of running our city, like keeping our roads safe, maintaining parks, and delivering services. They are paid through different funding sources, but when there's a gap, we rely on property taxes to make up the difference. This is a good time to take a closer look into our property tax rate. Last year, we expected a 5.61% tax increase for 2026. But thanks to smart planning and cost-saving measures and a lot of work by our financial services staff, we've brought that number down. For 2026, we're proposing a 3.46% increase in the property tax rate. That breaks down into 2 parts: 1.96% to cover regular operating costs, and 1.5% to cover something called the Capital Asset Sustainability Levy. This is the Capital Sustainability Levy is a dedicated fund that helps us maintain and repair our infrastructure. Things like roads, buildings, and community centers, so they stay in good shape for years to come. Council introduced this strategy back in 2016, and starting in 2024, Council approved an annual increase of 1.5%. In 2026, this increase will bring in about $2 million, adding up to a total of $15 million for future infrastructure needs. To put this into perspective, the average single-family home in Richmond Hill, valued at $1.1 million, would have an annual property tax increase of about $75. This investment makes sure our city continues to run smoothly and our infrastructure is safe and reliable for future generations. And on the community front, I'm proud to share with you that Bayview Hill Park now has a major upgrade. Thanks to council's approvals, the park now features a brand new splash pad and a seasonal outdoor ice rink. They're perfect for family fun in both the sweltering summer heat and the icy winter. We're also improving the existing outdoor spaces to make the park even more enjoyable for families and residents of all ages, and our 2026 budget reflects the operating costs of these new amenities. On a more sobering note, for an unacceptably increasing number of people, the foundational part of feeling safe is simply having adequate shelter. And I'm committed, and I know this council is committed, to ensuring that everyone who chooses Richmond Hill as their home has a good place to live. This is a very complex issue, as we all know, and one we simply cannot ignore. In our budget, we're taking actions to provide more housing for more people. For instance, we're working to speed up the review and approval process of new developments and development applications. It means getting housing projects approved faster so that more homes can be built sooner. The City of Richmond Hill doesn't build homes, but we make sure that the building process runs smoother, faster, and better. Also, we need more hands on deck to help make all of this happen. So we're hiring a new senior planner. This person will help to process permits from applicants, whether it is for a high-rise or a pool permit, keeping up with the new legislation and complex projects, balance growth, and protect our neighborhood character as well as our green spaces. And we're putting people first in this 2026 budget. We'll invest in making Richmond Hill more inclusive, connected, and resilient. As always, we're committed to strengthening respectful and collaborative relations with our treaty partners. This means working closely with Indigenous communities through ongoing conversations, shared goals, and mutual respect. This is about building long-term partnerships. For example, the budget will support hosting of cultural events and ceremonies and creating a space for dialogue and learning. We're also expanding library programming with more STEM events, as well as creating studio activities like 3D printing, audio and video editing, and more. To make this happen, we're converting a part-time library technician into a full-time role. This role will give residents access to expert help with creative tools, give hands-on learning for all ages, and help turn our libraries into vibrant community hubs where people connect, create, and grow together. Did you know that our Richmond Green Sports Dome has only been available in colder months? In warmer seasons, it's taken down. This not only limits playtime, but also adds to wear and tear on the dome structure. And surely you remember the brutally hot summer that we had this year, so I'm proud to let you know that we're investing in installing air conditioning in the dome. This will not only make it comfortable to be in the dome all year round, but it will also add more hours of sports playing, save maintenance costs on the dome, and extend its lifespan. This really is a win-win situation because the change also brings in about $450,000 benefit to the budget to help reduce the tax impact and meet our growing community's needs. And I'm excited to share with you how we're making Richmond Hill more modern, responsive, and resident-focused in 2026. Following the success of the water billing portal, early next year, we're launching a new online property tax billing portal that will make it easier than ever for you to manage and pay your tax bills. You'll be able to log in anytime and anywhere to see your account, make payments, check past bills, and sign up for e-billing. It will be secure, convenient, and it's designed to save time and the number of trees that we cut down to print the paper bills. We're also strengthening our digital infrastructure to keep your personal information safe. This includes hiring a new IT security analyst as approved by council, and it's continuing to invest in innovative technologies like data analysis and GIS mapping. These upgrades help us make better decisions and deliver services more efficiently. Improving customer service is another big priority. We're rolling out a multi-year customer service strategy to make everything more efficient and every interaction with the city online, on the phone or in person, and ensuring that these interactions are smooth, consistent, timely, and helpful. This means better tools for staff and faster responses for customers. In 2026, we'll begin major upgrades to how we deliver our services, train our staff, and track performance. The goal is to build trust and satisfaction by making it easier for everyone to get the help that they need. We also know that things don't just happen during business hours. That's why we're introducing a new after-all hours call center. Right now, urgent calls outside of regular hours go to fire dispatch, who also need to handle emergencies. With this change, a dedicated service provider will answer non-emergency calls, follow city-approved procedures, and make sure urgent issues like water main breaks or fallen trees get to the right people quickly. This helps us respond faster and keeps emergency lines clear for life-saving situations. So let's talk about how we got here. I'll walk you through how we built this year's budget, its numbers, and the story behind them. We've started out with a simple question. How do we keep delivering the services that everyone relies on every day while facing rising costs? We looked into every corner of our budget to find efficiencies, trim, and make smart choices. While we're facing rising costs that are out of control, this is how we can keep delivering the services that the people of Richmond Hill rely on every day, like garbage pickup, snow clearing, and parks and library services. Take rising inflation and contract costs. These alone added almost $3.3 million to our budget just to try to keep things running as they are. Then there's the new legislation that affects how we operate. Things like changes to minimum wages and Blue Box recycling program, these added about $120,000 to our costs. And every bit counts, even when it doesn't seem that big. And then there are the decisions we made in 2025 budgets that have had an impact for 2026, such as the 12 new full-time staff that we hired mid-year to meet growing demands. The full year costs of these decisions add about $320,000 to our budgets. But there is some good news. Richmond Hill is growing, and we're investing in that growth. As I mentioned, we're enhancing amenities like the new Bayview Hill splash pad with outdoor winter ice rink and the year-round operating of the Richmond Green Sports Dome. It's important to add these enhancements along with anticipated taxes from new development, and that actually lowered our budget by $970,000, all thanks to smart planning. Amid all of these, we continue to think long-term and plan for our growing community's future. We've added a 1.5% capital sustainability levy to make sure our roads, buildings, and infrastructure stay in good shape for years to come. And I think it's important to remember that out of every tax dollar, only about 1/4 of it goes to Richmond Hill, and we use that portion to run our city. In 2026, that's 28%. That 28% is the city of Richmond Hill's 100%. And this is the breakdown of how we make the most of that money. For example, 15 cents of every Richmond Hill tax dollar go to fire and emergency services, 11 cents go to infrastructure renewal, 5 cents goes to the library, and 3 cents goes to road maintenance. And 5 cents is used to maintain our roads, sidewalks, trails, and windrows throughout the winter, basically from November to April. And it's our responsibility as a council and our duty to make sure that we make the most of every tax dollar. We work hard to do more with less, without compromising the quality of services the people of Richmond Hill always rely on. And rest assured that you have our commitment to always find the most innovative ways to stretch every dollar further to make the lives of everyone in our community better. The money that we use to take care of our water, wastewater, and stormwater system comes from water rates that residents pay. This keeps things like pipes, treatment centers, or treatment plants, and drainage working properly. The 2026 budget follows the plans council set out back in 2024, which include future rate increases. These increases aren't just numbers. They help us save for the future and make sure our water and drainage systems stay in good shape for everyone. Water, wastewater, and stormwater are not words you hear every day, but trust me, they are important to everyday life. It's about the water we drink, the systems that keep our homes safe, and the infrastructure that we rely on every single day. And back in 2024, Council reviewed our long-term financial plans for water, wastewater, and stormwater. We looked ahead at what it will cost to maintain the pipes, the treatment plants, and the storm drains, and how we could keep those systems strong without putting too much financial pressure on our families that live in Richmond Hill. The plan we landed on strikes a balance between affordability and protecting us from future risks. It helps us build up reserve funds and prepare for the debt payments we'll need to keep our infrastructure in good working shape. So here's what we're proposing for 2026. A 6.1% increase for water and wastewater rates, and a 50% increase for stormwater management. And I know that that second number sounds very big, but the actual dollar amount isn't as high as it sounds because stormwater rates make up only a small portion of every bill. For the average Richmond Hill home, that uses about around 170 cubic meters of water a year on a property that's approximately 7,000 square feet. The increase translates to about $110 a year, or just over $9 a month. And it goes directly to keeping our water clean, our basements dry, and our infrastructure strong for generations to come. For years, stormwater rates haven't kept up with the growing needs of our community, and now we're playing catch up. This necessary increase helps us do that responsibly. So that was the operating budget. Now let's take a few minutes to talk about the capital budget. In other words, how we're investing in Richmond Hill's future by making sure our roads, parks, fire stations, and water systems stay strong, safe, and ready to serve the community for years to come. We've consistently made smart investments that strengthen the foundation of our community and shape the spaces where we live, work, and play. So in short, the capital budget is our long-term investment plan. It's different from the operating budget that covers the city's day-to-day expenses. The capital budget is about the big stuff, like maintaining buildings and fixing roads, upgrading parks, replacing fire trucks, and making sure our water and stormwater systems are ready for whatever weather comes our way. These are assets that we rely on every day, and they need to be maintained, upgraded, and sometimes even replaced to keep everything running smoothly. In this budget, we're planning 151 projects. These projects were carefully chosen based on what matters most to our community. We're focusing on the most critical infrastructure needs. We're fixing what needs fixing, and building where we're growing. And in total, we're investing about $121 million in 2026, which is a significant increase from the $89 million or so in 2025. That jump shows that we're serious about keeping Richmond Hill strong and future ready. So let's talk about what's in the capital budget. First, we're investing about $3 million in 17 strategic projects that help us plan for the future. These include updates to our fire master plan, traffic improvements across the city, and environmental plans for places like Valleyland and Lake Wilcox. We're also preparing for major transit changes like the Yonge North Subway extension, which will feature 2 stops in Richmond Hill, and updating our community benefits charge strategy to make sure that we're keeping pace with the growth of our city. Next, we've got 28 design projects worth about $10 million. These design projects are the blueprints for future construction, laying the groundwork for upgrades to parks, community center, and city infrastructure. We're designing the revitalization of Mill Pond Park, planning repairs at Silver Stream Park, and we're also preparing to expand our operations center. Over at the community centers, we'll be installing solar panels at Tom Grant Arena and renovating change rooms at the Bayview Hill Community Center. Construction is where all the action happens, and we're putting $84 million into 62 projects that will be built or upgraded next year. These include major park improvements at Town Park and Unity Park, a brand new park in North Leslie, and the extension of Vogel Road with the new bridge over the Rouge River. We're reconstructing Maple Grove Avenue. We're building the new Dave Barra Civic Square near the Central Library, and we're upgrading the roofs of fire stations and community centers to keep our facilities safe and efficient. And finally, we're investing about $23 million in close to 50 projects that support the behind-the-scenes work that keeps our city running. That means replacing a fire engine, resurfacing roads, upgrading our fleet and IT systems, improving libraries, and installing energy-efficient LED lighting in city facilities. We're even adding a new wall padding in the gymnasiums at our community centers to keep our families safe. Now let's look at what the capital budget invests in our community. These are real, tangible results that you'll see and feel in our neighborhoods. When it comes down to growth and new services, we're investing in projects that support our growing population and expanding neighborhoods. These projects are guided by our official plan and our master plans. These plans help us decide where and when to build. At the same time, we use our corporate asset management plan to figure out when existing infrastructure needs repairs or upgrades. So we're not just building new, we're also taking care of what we already have. People and businesses in Richmond Hill rely on our public assets every single day. Whether it's the roads you drive on, the parks your kids play in, the buildings where you access city services, or the courts that you play pickleball on, these investments matter. They're about making life better, safer, more efficient, and yes, even more fun. We're adding 3 kilometers of new roads and roadway improvements. That includes sidewalks, streetlights, and landscaping. They are what make a street both safe and welcoming. We're also upgrading over 2 kilometers of sanitary sewers and building about 2.5 kilometers of new storm sewers to handle rainwater and protect our homes and the environment. On top of that, we're installing new and improved pedestrian crossovers and traffic signals at 15 locations to make getting around safer for everyone. And we're upgrading 5 outdoor recreation parks to give families more places to play, relax, and connect. And when it comes to maintaining what we already have to make sure that they're in a state of good repair, that is plain and simple smart investing. That means that investments in existing capital assets to maintain the current functionality, condition, lifespan, and use for community services. We're talking about maintaining and improving the infrastructure that's already serving our communities, like roads, buildings, water systems, parks, and more. These are the things that we use every day, and it's our duty to make sure that they are safe, reliable, and in good working condition. In 2026, we're making some important upgrades. We're resurfacing and reconstructing 27 lane kilometers of roads to make your drive safer and more comfortable. We're replacing traffic signal equipment at 5 key intersections to improve safety and efficiency. And we're upgrading 3.5 kilometers of water mains to make sure we have clean, reliable, and clean water continues to flow to our homes and businesses. But it's not just about the roads and the pipes. We're also investing in our natural spaces. We're restoring nearly 14 hectares of natural areas, helping to protect our environment and improve the health of our community. And we're making renovations and repairs at 20 city facilities from community centers to fire stations so that they can continue to serve our growing community. These investments might not always be flashy, but they're absolutely essential. So let's look at the budget breakdown. This year, we're investing $121.1 million into Richmond Hill's infrastructure. That's over $31 million more than last year. This increase reflects our commitment to keeping up with growth, maintaining what we've built, and making sure our services continue to meet the needs of our community. When we build or repair something, whether it's a road, a park, or a water system, it's not just about the thing that we're repairing. It's about the service that it's providing. That's why we align our capital budget with the services that drive the need for those investments. It gives us a clear picture of the long-term costs of delivering services, and it helps council make smart and informed decisions about where to invest next. And in 2026, we're focusing our investments on the areas that matter most to people. We're putting $33.5 million into roadway systems to improve traffic flow and safety. Parks and outdoor recreation will see $23.2 million in upgrades, giving families more places to play and gather. And stormwater management will get $17.3 million to protect homes and the environment. We're investing $13.9 million in wastewater collection, $11.2 million in municipal services, and $7.2 million in water distribution to keep our systems reliable. Recreation facilities will also get $6.9 million. Library services will get $3.1 million, and fire services $3.2 million to support emergency response. We're also investing $800,000 in cultural services and $780,000 in active transportation, things like bike lanes and pedestrian paths that help people get around safely and sustainably. So saying the capital budget creates our future is not an exaggeration. Let's look at some of the highlights from the pillars of our strategic plan. First, here's how we're making our community better and more livable. We're continuing to implement the Dave Barrow Civic Square Master Plan to build a new community gathering place. We're developing the new North Leslie East Community Park, also known as Heron View Park. We're contributing to the York Region Markham-Richmond Hill joint project of a new Highway 404 overpass north of 16th Avenue. We're developing a master plan for Valley Land rehabilitation, and we're updating the Lake Wilcox management plan. And as I said in my opening remarks, this budget reflects what we value the most. That's why it's always and forever about people. Here's just some examples of how our capital budget invests with a focus on people. Adding new indoor pickleball courts at Rouge Woods and Richvale community centers to respond to the user demand and improve recreation opportunities. Updating the public art policy to reflect evolving community values and support diverse artistic expression. And revitalizing Unity Park and installing a memorial to honor Flight PSM 52 victims. Finally, our foundations. The very word says it all. Everything we do relies on the foundations on which we stand. It's as simple as that. Just a few examples of the investments that we're making to keep that foundation strong. We'll assess the condition of facilities and exterior facades. We'll renovate the third floor of the Central Library to improve public space and enhance service delivery. We'll advance GIS data and analytics capability to improve decision-making and service delivery. And that pretty much wraps up the capital budget. So what does this all mean for the average Richmond Hill resident? If you own an average single detached home assessed at around 1.1 million, you'll see an increase of about $75 on your city's portion of your property tax in 2026. That includes roughly $42 to help cover the city's day-to-day operation and roughly $32 to help the city maintain and renew its infrastructure that we rely on. And that's the 3.46% increase in terms of dollar terms. Now, when we factor in the expected increases from York Region and the school boards, your property tax bill will go up at about $257 for an average residential property. That's about 3.05 increase overall. York Region has still not finalized their rate, but will do so later in the month. So this number will get finalized shortly. For water and wastewater and stormwater services, the average household using 170 cubic meters of water a year and sitting on a property of about 7,000 square feet will see an increase of about $112. So when you add it all up, the total impact for the average household is about $369 in total for the entire year. That works out to approximately $30 a month or just over $1 a day. And for that dollar, we're maintaining getting clean water, safe roads, reliable emergency services, great parks, and the kind of community infrastructure that makes Richmond Hill a great place to be. And this is the information that we have about 2026 tax increases across York Region and other comparable municipalities. And keep in mind, some of these increases may not be final numbers, but the graph shows that the result of our work to keep our tax increase as low as possible while continuing to provide the services our community needs and deserves. We might not be the lowest, but we are certainly balancing the needs and wants and prudently managing city spending and our tax dollars collected. And let's take a quick glance at where we stand for a 5-year average property tax increase compared to other municipalities in York Region. As you can see, we're about 1% above the lowest tax increase and about 5% below the highest tax increase. And that's the Richmond Hill 2026 budget. Richmond Hill has always been a city built on innovation, diversity, and resilience. This budget reflects that spirit. We're putting our dollars where they matter the most. We're investing in the roads, the parks, the services, and the infrastructure that support our families, our businesses, and our way of life. With this budget, I'm confident that we're ready to take on whatever comes, and we're doing it together with collaboration, care, and a shared commitment to making Richmond Hill the very best that it can be. Once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank our city staff who have always worked tirelessly to develop this budget. It was a huge and very important undertaking, so thank you very much. And if anybody on the public watching this would like to find out more or get the latest updates on our budget, you can go to our website at richmondhill.ca/budget. So thank you very much for listening to all of that. That was a little bit longer than usual, but I do appreciate your patience. And I think what we should do now is if and when there's questions and discussion, we'll tag team with myself and Gigi to answer any of those questions from there. So I'll send it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor West, for that extensive explanation of what the budget entails. I think we'll go one by one through this. Mr. Clerk, maybe we could do one motion that encapsulates all the recommendations in 5.3. Okay. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll get a motion on the floor if someone wants to do that, and our treasurer, Gigi Lee, is available for questions. Well, I think it's appropriate. Yeah, Mayor West is making that motion. So it's moved, and whoever else wants to discuss, go ahead. So, yeah. So Mayor West has moved all the recommendations in item 5.3.
1 to 3.
Okay. I'll go first to Councillor Hsu. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the budget team for preparing this budget, and thank you for the budget presentation by Mayor West. I will start by the operating budget, property tax hike, 3.46, 1.96 plus 1.5 CAS levy. This is a beautiful number, I think so. But I still have some question to ask because one of the reasons the tax increase is so mild next year is that we are using the tax rate stabilization reserve for one-time budget impacts, right? So what I'm concerned is about how much and what percentage of the reserve will we use next year through Mr. Chair.
Director?
Through the chair to Councillor Hsu. So for next year, we are utilizing the tax rate stabilization reserve for one-time studies or projects that are one-time in nature, and it totals about $1.1 million.
It's $1 billion.
Yep, so that's roughly $1.4 million is one tax rate.
Mhm.
So you're probably looking at about 0.8 or so of a
Okay.
tax rate.
That's so mild. And I also, according to the staff report, page 8, I see the staffing's request was deferred from projected 42 positions down to only 4. The staffing requests from 42 to 4 now. So what I'm concerned about is what type of the staffing requests are being deferred. And will this affect any public services? Through Mr. Chair.
Gail? City Manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair. We deferred what we believed all non-essential or mandatory positions at this point in time. The direction that I had provided staff was 0 staff. That's where we started to bring the tax rate in as low as we possibly could. The 4 positions that you have in front of you are critically important to our operation, and that's how I looked at it. The cybersecurity IT staff, as an example, was a position that council already approved a number of months ago before we started the budget process to keep all of our information safe. You heard about the library conversion. I only looked at the conversion positions on that list. And certainly in the area of planning. It was, I think council's well aware of how taxed we are in that department. So we needed that position is critical to taking the next steps in this building more homes faster and all the changes that planning has had to endure. So that was my approach towards that. The positions that we deferred were positions that the commissioners, the ELT team felt that we could defer and have a further analysis on before we approach the 2027 budget. And they are right across the corporation.
Okay, understood. My next question is about the slide number 23, which is about the capital budget, $121 million, the breakdown. So one of the decrease next year is municipal services. And there will be less investment than this year. So is there any breakdown for what kind of municipal services will be cut next year? Because I see there's a decrease in investment next year. On slide number 23, yeah.
City Manager?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I understand the question correctly, this budget was formulated on no city services being cut, if that's your question. So the services that our residents have come to expect at the level that they have expected them have been maintained in this budget projection. The capital budget process and referring directly to our capital budget on this page is maintaining and implementing the capital projects necessary for our infrastructure.
Okay, understood. So my next one is about the stormwater on slide number 18. I understand stormwater is only a very small portion on the tax bill, but we have a 50% increase next year. So can we know what's the reason behind why there's a so huge amount of increase next year for the stormwater?
Treasurer?
Through the chair to Councillor Xu. So the increase of 50% is part of the 2024 approved stormwater management financial master plan. So essentially during the presentation, as the mayor had alluded to, we're playing catch up. So historically, we have not been providing sufficient funding. So as part of the financial plan, council did approve 2 years of 50% increases. So 2025 being the first one, 2026 in the second one.
Okay.
And then in the rest of the forecast over the next 8 years, that rate does come down.
I see.
So essentially, it's more of a one-time catch-up that we're doing, dating back to 2013.
Okay, I see, clear. And the next question is about the DC. Is there any financial impact from the Bill 17 passed by the provincial government in June this year? So, because according to the new bill, Bill 17, which allowed the builders to defer DC payments, and the builders no longer have to pay DC at the building permit for many residential projects. So, I'm just wondering how might this affect, and is this impact shown on this budget next year? Through the chair.
Through the chair to Councillor Hsu. So the impact of Bill 17 is largely related to cash flow. So essentially, that bill provides developers the opportunity to defer their development charges payment. So in the way that it will impact the city is that perhaps there's a timing difference between when we would have expected to receive the DCs. Now the DCs will come into the city later on. So it does require for us to be more careful about our planning and our spending when it comes to growth-related expenditures. But overall, what we're looking at is more of a timing issue, and that potentially we may have to look at financing the bigger DC projects, awaiting for those payments to come in.
Okay, so through Mr. Chair, this is my last question. Is just ask on behalf of many pickleball lovers, is there any additional budget available for investing in more pickleball facilities for the coming years for the capital budget?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder to council that we do have a tennis and pickleball strategy that's underway, and we'll wait for the recommendations from that strategy in order to guide us for future development in those two areas. So there is not, we've highlighted what we're doing in 2026, and that's part of our capital plan. We have no further room in that unless council desires to have a look at that budget and increase it.
Okay, no problem. That's all my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Davidson.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, thank you, Mayor, for your presentation, and thank you for all the work I know that staff go through. I know this is a pretty much a year-to-year process. You're going to start on the next budget the day after this one's approved. What I do want to talk about on my end is what's not in the budget, and that is my understanding is that traffic safety operation strategy, TSOS further, this year does not include speed bumps, bollards, signage, and other things that we've installed over the last 2 years. Stop me now if I'm incorrect on that. Okay, so that strategy was introduced just 2 years ago, and I'm concerned that the 2026 plan limits traffic calming installations to urgent and sensitive locations on a case-by-case basis. This is a reactive approach that moves us away from the proactive, data-driven approach that TSOS was created to deliver. The intent of the strategy is to avoid piecemeal work and base decisions on city network-wide screening. The traffic calming policy is clear. Staff must complete annual network screening conducted before and after studies to assess speeds, collisions, and traffic volumes, meaning once we do research before we put up things like speed bumps, and we do assessments after we installed those speed bumps. And a staff report showed that the 2024 evaluation work was completed. So in my mind, as we were doing speed bumps and other traffic calming measures, assessment was concurrent. It wasn't, we need time to assess, we'll assess as we go. In November 2024, Council received the TSOS implementation and monitoring update. Staff monitored and evaluated the 2024 priority locations and applied those findings to guide the 2025 installations in full alignment with the traffic calming policy. And during that report, which was November 20th, 2024, about a year ago, the report indicated that overall reduction in speed of 2 to 12% and overall reduction in traffic volume 8 to 11%. So to me, it was saying that bollards, and speed bumps are working. In the same update, staff reported that public education sessions for the 2026 traffic calming program would be redesigned into interactive workshops beginning in spring 2025. I do have a question here. Were there workshops and public consultation information sessions held in 2025 for 2026 programs? Through you, Mr. Chair.
Through the chair to Councillor Davidson, yes, there were public information centers that were held in each ward to discuss concerns from the public, existing areas that would require implementation regardless of what they were, gather that information, take that information along with existing traffic data that the city is aware of in order to create future implementation plans. So yes, public information meetings were undertaken.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Council approved $500,000 for TSOS implementation in 2025, with that level forecasted through 2034. The draft 2026 budget reduces this to $275,000 and holds that lower funding level until 2035. Since my election, residents, there's the number one thing I hear from residents about, and it's speeding. I do hear about other issues, but absolutely the most important thing in my ward is people asking for speed bumps. They see them elsewhere, and I get many, many requests. And frankly, Ward 1 is the largest ward, and unlike some of the wards that have a more concentrated, maybe an older neighborhood, we have streets where there's almost a kilometer straightaway, which become racetracks. The city's transportation master plan survey shows that safety is a top priority for the entire city, not just my ward. And with the provincial ban on speed cameras, 2026 is not the year to slow down our traffic calming work. It's the year to advance it. And for those reasons, I would like to put forward the following amendment to the draft 2026 capital budget. I think the clerk has it. That the Budget Committee of the Whole recommend the mayor increase the allocation for the traffic safety and operations strategy by $225,000. And that if the $225,000 is allocated, staff be directed to continue the annual screening work and implementation of traffic calming for 2026. Thank you.
Okay, so that there's an amendment now on the floor, so we'll start over with the speakers list for this amendment. Anyone like to speak to it? You want to speak to the amendment? That's right. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Shree.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Chair. Thank you so much for Councillor Davidson bringing up this to our attention as well. So I realized, so recently the Premier Doc 4 canceled that cameras. From what I have experienced and also what I have witnessed in the past few years, there do a lot of demanding from community asking for traffic calming solutions. City did a lot of fantastic job. We just acknowledge it. Thank you so much for what they have done for our commissioner, also the traffic team. But there are still some areas there are demandings from community. So from the past 3 years, I think the snow service, I'm going to mention that later on. Snow service is my top priorities concern from community. The second part about the traffic is well, definitely community safety is another one, but that's really, we cannot do too much because there's too many issues over there. So for traffic one, I still receiving complaints from community. Regarding to this fundings or this budgeting, I support Councillor Davidson. I'll consider if possible, the budgeting committees can, or council members can put this one, continue work for the traffic problems. That's my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor West?
Thank you very much. Okay, so before I go into this, Commissioner Massaro, so from what I understood from the memo that you gave us recently, it's not like we're not going to be doing traffic safety in 2026, and we do that. There's always a plan for that. I mean, that would be completely unacceptable if we weren't continuing to do this. But the way I see this is that This is like, we're in an airplane taking off and we have a high rate of climb in the first couple of years that we've been doing this. But at some point in time, we are going to be leveling off as more of these locations start to have effective traffic calming. And I think that's the important part, effective traffic calming installed. So I think it is natural that we are leveling off. Now, when that time comes to level off, I think really is the crux of what we're talking about in this conversation right now. I am concerned, though, in conversations that we've had, and I think it might have been mentioned in the memo, that we don't have the staff work plan for 2026 is based on. I'm not sure that we have the capacity to be able to install and also monitor to make sure that the ones that we've done in the past are done correctly. And I may have that wrong, but can you just maybe add some color to that?
Commissioner?
Certainly, through the chair to Mayor West. Your analogy is absolutely accurate. At some point, it will taper off. We just don't know when. We're still in the process of hitting what we've determined since 2023 to be the highest, most priority areas. This is one of those files that there will never cease to be interest in something a community member feels that they need in their particular neighborhood. I think it's a little bit misguided to suggest that we don't have the appropriate amount of investment within the community. There are several line items within the budget that speak directly to the improvements that we're making in 2026. There's the annual traffic improvements, that's $385,000. Traffic data collection, $250,000. Two signals, the one at Bayview and Chusa, the one on Bethesda is already completed. That's our commitment towards York Region implementing that. The other one's on Trench Street. It's we've been doing some crosswalk improvements and signalization, so that constitutes traffic calming. The PXOs in general, the 13 of those are almost $1 million next year. You referenced in your presentation earlier the traffic signal equipment replacements. That's about $300,000. There's always a need to improve the amount of data that we collect through our pole-mounted radar boards, and we keep those in service by investing next year $20,000. The traffic safety specific line item is $275,000. So I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how we prepare budgets. And if you look into the recommendations of the staff report, council approves the budget and only receives for information a forecast, and a forecast is just that. We look at the work that we need to do in any subsequent year, and you can see that there are actually going to be some installations of traffic calming through this process. While it may not be as proactive as it has been in 24 and 25, there's sufficient budget to deal with locations that do become a priority and do need to be addressed right away. All of those investments add up to $2.8 million, which I believe is significant, represents 2% of the overall capital budget. That's $110 million, if I got the number right. And above and beyond that, what our team does is work with our capital delivery team. So we go and reconstruct the road and we do top works. What opportunities are there to install traffic calming measures while we're already there? So it's interesting because we're already going to be installing traffic speed cushions on several roads that are being reconstructed, which happens to be in Ward 1 as well. So I'm not sure if the councilor is aware of that. So I think it's somewhat misfounded that we're not doing enough. And I think what's in the capital budget very accurately represents a good investment in public safety, traffic, consistent with the budget that you've presented to everyone here today.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I think like the takeaway that I got is that we're going to continue to do traffic safety measures, but I do understand what Councillor Davidson is saying, and I also think your point about the Ward 1 has roads that are maybe a little bit longer stretches and so on. So I think this is a good discussion for us to be having. I also think it's an interesting point that's being made about the removal of speed cameras, because we were planning on having speed cameras in our subdivisions. That is no longer a tool in our toolbox. So, but I guess the way I look at it is I'm satisfied that the work that we're going to be doing next year will meet the needs that we have around traffic calming, and like I know that I certainly understand the need for traffic calming. I mean, I worked very hard a number of years ago to get the TSOS program up and running through a member motion. And I've been very, very proud of the work that has been accomplished by that program. I think it's very important work and it's making our roads safer. But I just think that we're I like the part in the approach to TSOS that we're taking a very careful and measured with data approach to what we're putting in. And I think, we need the time and the plan going forward to do that. And I guess the way I look at it is next year, there are a whole bunch of things in the pipeline around traffic safety that are embedded in the budget already. I think I would be satisfied with those things, and then we resume, we refresh and renew the approach starting in 2027 to, find out, find out what level of program or what level of climb we still need to get to our destination of maximum traffic safety on our roads in the shortest period of time. So I'd be interested to hear what other members of council have about this, but I think I'm satisfied with the way the budget is laid out, but that's, I'm happy to listen to what others have to say. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I understand where, I just want to say three things. Number one is thank you, Councillor Davidson, and Mayor West also touched on it. And I believe that we all here are concerned and should be doing the best we can within the resources that we have in terms of traffic calming. And having said that, my second point would be there are some actually changes that brought forward by a province that may in some way, I don't want to use the word destabilize, but certainly change the way how some of these planning for in terms of that we might have planned for, we actually have planned for with the automated speed enforcement that no longer require since 4 days ago, yes. And so there is certain money parked somewhere, I take it, that previously might have been put aside. So that actually leads me to a question. My second point is through Mr. Chair. The statement I just made was an assumption that was true that might be already initially when planning, because the 365 days planning process for the 2026 capital budget had actually previously money might have been set aside for rolling out the ASE should there was no interference from the province to begin with. I just wonder if that can be confirmed, yes or no, through Mr. Chair.
Okay, the city manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I understand the question directly, you're asking if we factored in our initial planning the ASE revenue. Yes, we did. And so we had to go back and dig hard to recover from the legislation that was passed and removed that from our budget.
Thank you. Thank you for the answer, City Manager. And that actually leads into my third point. The last point is for the 225,000 in the amendment here, where the money will come from. And now, the comfort is, as I understand it, under the capital budget is not really going to impact on the tax-supported operating budget. Would that be correct, through Mr. Chair? Should this amendment be passed as is?
Through the chair to Deputy Mayor Chan, no, it would not have an impact to the tax rate. It'll be funded by development charges and other reserve funds.
Yeah, it's good to know. So the point that I try to bring up is there are already money originally perhaps planned for implementation rolling out 2026 AIC, which no longer needed. Perhaps there's an opportunity to channel or rechannel the money. And second point is that even assuming the amendment here is passed as is, there was no real impact on the tax supported tax rate. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you, Mr. Chair and staff, for the answer.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other speakers. Okay, you want to wrap up on the amendment?
Thank you. I just want to reiterate, as I said, I'm not doubting that we're doing traffic calming, but my problem is that in December of 2023, this council approved traffic bollards, speed bumps, 3 per ward. And we did that in 2024. We did it in 2025. We're not going to do it in 2026. And I would like us to do it in 2026. I think it's really important to traffic safety, in addition to all the other things that we're doing. And I know there might be some worry that there's time, not enough time to do it the way we did it before, because if we were assuming maybe we would take a pause to look. But I really believe, and part of what I was understanding about the whole process is that the assessment would go along as we do it. And I feel it's premature to talk about, we're going to get to the saturation point of too many streets with traffic calming like speed bumps. We've only done 36, or, well, let's put it this way. I know there's probably more been done because of other ways, but we've only done it for 2 years. I feel like we're not even close to the saturation point of saying, we've done enough, let's see. I think we should try a few more years to get a good representation. And I think there is time to evaluate to have these things installed in 2026. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm not sure the funding allocated isn't going to preclude that happening. There being 3 more opportunities in Oak Ridge's Commissioner?
I just want to add some context. Thank you through the chair and to all of council. The motion as it stands doesn't really meaningfully contribute to the advancement of the TSOS vision or fulfilling its mandate, because the motion as it stands is directing staff to continue to do what it's already doing. So I've tried to highlight the fact that the delta that's been highlighted from a forecast into a current budget is misguided, because some of that money is already built into the other $2.8 million of traffic safety improvements that we are installing, in addition to the ones on Rose Garden and Black Forest, that through their top works will receive something. So the notion that we are not going to be doing something is false. And we need to be clear on the fact that there is continued investment. So by providing an extra $225,000 doesn't help me or my team, because we have what we need in order to do the work that we need to do and continue the advancement of the strategy. And while there may not be 18 or 36 or 136 locations, maybe there's 2, maybe there's 5. We'll figure that out between January and next year. But when staff does return to council with the plan, we'll say this was our findings with all the review that we did, and we'll have a very clear actionable plan for 2027, and it'll grow. So to build on the mayor's points that, the work that we need needs to be targeted and effective in order for it to be measurable. And part of the work that we're doing is the measuring. So it's not reactive, and this is a part of the work that we need to do. So it's for that reason that I have a challenge supporting the motion, because it's telling us to do the work that we're already doing, if that helps.
Hey, thank you. I think your clock, you still have the floor, yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair. My apologies if this wasn't written the right way. I equated the reduction of $225,000 in the reduction of 18 traffic calming locations for 2026. So if I did that incorrectly, I apologize. It was sort of how I did the math in my head. I guess my only question is, will there be 3 traffic calming efforts in each ward, which include bollards, speed bumps, and other traffic calming measures? Will there be 3 per ward in 2026?
Through the mayor to council, through the chair of the council, Davidson, no, there will be not.
So there's the part for me that I would like reinstated. I don't know what else to say. If this is not, this is the budget, the committee of the whole. If I asked for guidance from the chair, should I take this, put it aside for now and come back at a later date to present it in a way that is written in a way that makes it clear what I'm looking for?
Commissioner?
Through the chair to council, for clarity, there's not going to be 3 per ward. There are going to be some installations next year, some that we're very clear on what they are. And while in its infancy, we try to equally balance where the priorities are through all of the wards. Moving forward, the intent, because we measure what we do, right, through data, you know, I can't guarantee that they're going to be an equal number per ward, because if we're leveraging data, data is going to tell us where the highest priorities of these areas are. I think that's where we need to slowly shift towards. I think that's what's important, to demonstrate that transparency in the work that we do. So that's why the first answer is no, not in that particular instance, but it doesn't mean that nothing's going to be happening. We're going to take that measured approach with the data to see what those highest priorities are and look at those for implementation. I may also add that in some wards, specifically in Ward 1, we were actually fought in a bunch of streets on how we were implementing and had to go back and rework what we were doing. So it's appropriate that we take the measured approach in 2026 to learn everything that we've done so far, to see if one tool in the toolbox perhaps works better than the other one. So we do get this right, because with the amount of staff that we have, we want to try to get it right and do it right the first time if possible, while trying to balance community needs, which we know in this particular file at times can be very taxing, and use a lot of staff's time, who spends time not just during the day, evenings and weekends, meeting with elected officials, residents, to try and find the best way forward to make everyone feel like the community that we live in is safe. I hope that adds some context for the benefit of Mayor and Council.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. But that doesn't, what you just described, thank you, and respectfully, is not the policy that this council passed. We said 3 per ward, and that's what I'm asking for. And I understand we're saying we're learning a lot as we go, but I don't know why we can't learn as we go and still implement the traffic calming measures as we go, why we have to pause this to reevaluate when we can do it concurrently. Anyway, back to you. Do I need to pull this to write it? Should I? I'm asking for guidance here. If this isn't solving the problem, this amendment, then I will withdraw it and bring it back in a way that is more clear. So I'll withdraw my amendment. I'm seeing head nods.
Okay.
If that seems to be the way to get what I'm trying to get at here, which is 3 traffic calming in every ward.
Councilor, we're definitely going to have an opportunity to talk about this. The recommended amount to continue with, what council has direction, our staff's following through on the plan. It's going to be equally robust, but their guess is this is the appropriate dollar amount. But we're going to have that discussion, and at that time there will be flexibility. That wholesome discussion will be had at another time, if you are wanting to.
My question is this: if I pull this amendment, can I bring forward an amendment that will ask for the money to put 3 traffic calming measure TSOS in each ward? Will I have the opportunity to ask for that fund?
Yes, you do have that opportunity, because you can bring it to council. This mayor's budget will be
Okay,
going to council.
So I will withdraw my amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, so we go back to the discussion on the main motion, the mayor's budget as presented. The next speaker was Councillor Tree.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chair. So thank you so much, Mayor, and also committee members to put this budget in forward. So I believe there are tons of questions. So I do have my own as well. The first one is for the operation in the maintenance of the winter services. It's 5%. Based on last year experience, we suffered the second largest snow falling last winter. So for this year, 2026 big budget, my question maybe for Commissioner or maybe for our Director Frank as well. So have we considered enough buffers in this year's 2026 budget in case of any adversary weathers, just like last year?
Through the chair, so the budget is a belt tightening budget for us. Nonetheless, when it comes to planning for winter maintenance, You'll appreciate that there's no ability for us to know in advance whether it's a difficult winter like last February or a very easy winter like the winter before. So what we have in the budget is a reasonable estimate of what we think a typical average winter might look like, although some belt tightening. And what we're doing in the interim is implementing some tactical changes to try to improve the level of service. The tangible change for next year is we do have a modest outsourcing of some of the sidewalk plowing. And so that's all built in, all with a view of enhancing the total package.
So that's going to be type of the wind blower type of the snow services, right? I remember last year we only have one machine like that blow away all the snow from sidewalk. So this year we do have a plan. If in case we have a similar situation, we do have more machines to clean up sidewalk in time.
Yeah, the plan is to keep as much of our equipment on the road as possible, to keep as much of the service delivered. And like I said, we're making tactical changes to the overall program to enhance total service. What we also have this year, not mentioned, is a new AVL GPS system that helps us coordinate the level of deployment to better identify where our equipment, where our staff are throughout the city, and to therefore better plan some changes that need to be made on the fly.
Okay, my next question regarding the sidewalk. I remember last year, if I remember correctly, we have more than 600 locations across cities for the sidewalk maintenance. Can I know if you have used up all the budget for 2025 or is it good?
Sorry, I didn't
The
catch.
sidewalk and also the road condition replacement, like sidewalk changes or pothole on the street.
Oh, for the sidewalks themselves. So we do have a line item in our budget for sidewalk repairs. That work is carried out during the year. There's an inspection that happens typically in the fall in terms of prepping the sidewalks for winter maintenance to make sure that our equipment can plow those sidewalks. So that has been performed for this year, and so everything is ready for next year. In terms of the budget items that are or what's in the budget for sidewalk repairs for next year, very similar to what we've seen in the previous year. We really, at this point, and you'll appreciate that there's a significant portion of that item that goes into the interlock sidewalks in the city. Across the city, our interlocks are aging. And so that is an ongoing need. And in future years, I think we'll see an uptick in the need for budget on the interlock sidewalks. But for now, it's status quo.
Okay, perfect. I just want to bring this attention to, on behalf of the residents living in Mill Pond areas. So I have been tasked and asked for many residents regarding the interlock style sidewalks on the heritage areas. So if every year we spend $500,000 or maybe $250,000 just for fixing the sidewalk, just for the Mill Pond, maybe there is a way or demanding for city to consider long-term solutions, maybe a capital project to reanimate more than 14 street interlock styles along Young Street and Mill Pond, many others. That's hopefully we can consider that. My next question regarding to the capital budget, but I think this one is for park. So thank you so much. So I do have two parks listed on my agenda. The first one is the French Royalist Park. Based on 2024's projections, supposedly 2025 and 2026, that Royalist Park should be either under review or under construction. I see that one being postponed until 2027. So is there any background why this project being postponed or delayed for 1 or 2 years?
Through the chair to Councillor Tree. I don't have the intricate details, but what I do recall is part of staff's work, there was a priority list that was created based on condition and where all the projects ranked, right? And what staff aims to do is address the ones that are in most need first, and then works their way down that list with the amount of available funding. So what I am confident is that, if the construction is in, I believe, 2027, that any work for design and whatnot would be undertaken in 26, which is a good sign, which means once the ball gets rolling, we start, working on a project that it will move to construction. So
Okay.
that's a bit of the background, and I'm happy to dig into a little bit more of the particulars if you need offline.
Okay, thank you so much. The reason being asked because, the reasons there is a tennis court. It's been bring up to my attention, also Mayor's attention for quite a long time. So I was asked around a few months ago about updates for this park. That's the reason I pay attention to this one. I did see this park's construction been delayed for 1 year, so that's why I bring this one. Another one is for the Mill Pond Park revitalization project. We know a lot of people is looking for that status. So, and can you update us if that park, Mill Pond revitalization is still in the right track? Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Tree, yes, Mill Pond Park is still on track. There was a large exercise that was taking with parks planning and community services as well to prioritize all the key parks that we know that are the jewel of a variety of different communities within the city of Richmond Hill. And that one was clearly recognized as one that requires some work. It'll be multi-phased. Aside from the park work as well, there's a lot of stormwater infrastructure that needs to be managed within that as well. So again, I can get into some of the particulars offline with you as to what's happening on which particular years. But yes, there is a continued investment in Mill Pond Park.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Samuel. I'm going to engage you later on after meeting. So I do need updates. So a lot of people are looking for updates as well. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to thank the mayor for presenting this budget. I don't have many questions about this budget, only that what I'm seeing is we might be the lowest, if not one of the lowest among our neighboring municipalities. So thank you very much, Mayor West. And I would also like just to thank staff for helping me to push ahead, and also the mayor, behind this too, to push ahead the Bayview Hill Streetlight Retrofit project. It's been pushed ahead a year or two. So really, really appreciate. Thank you very much. So the design phase will be next year. Thank you for putting it in the capital budget on behalf of the Ward 3 residents. Thank you, and thank you.
Hey, thank you, Councillor. The next speaker is Deputy Mayor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I'd like to say my personal appreciation, Mayor West, and I'm sure that the finance team under Treasurer Gigi Lee, and it was being brought up by already Councillor New. I'm very impressed and pleased with, encouraged with, Councillor Lee touch on that we are trying to show the context in terms of comparison. Although I do understand both slide number 28, they're showing 2026 tax rate increase, one shot, and slide 29 over 5-year span. And I think that's what it's telling. And just basically just building on Councillor Liu said, I think those two specific data presentation, I think that would help to communicate through later on when the budget will be approved that a month from now, that to really illustrate, perhaps in that usually we have this information sheet to go along with tax bill to let every taxpayer in Richmond Hill know. Nobody's like paying taxes, nobody like to have increase, but put that into context, how we are doing among the stack of neighboring municipalities and so on and so on. So I think that's something that to think about from a communication standpoint, but also about even the presentation. Thank you, Mayor West and the team of finance. 28, 29, I like it and I want to say it and I like it again. And as well, I'm also wondering, although on the operating budget that at this point in time, I think if we look at it, and we should also talking about 1.96%. I mean, this number's there, but in the presentation, and I think Stat Canada or just announced like the latest inflation figure is 2%. We're almost bang on, right? I know it's no easy fit. I mean, this is a lot of work, but I think again, that I often have people question, oh, no more increase. And I always have to remind people we're doing the best we can, and this is within inflation rate. And I think this is something very responsible and being accountable. That's something we need to remind people know. And on that note, I have to ask this question because people do ask me. I think I have the answer, but are people saying, okay, there'll be a change or there's a blue box collection next year? Does that mean the city is going to save money? I saw this 4% for the waste management. So I just thought, raise that question for public to hear and listen. Through Mr. Chair to staff, is that only making marginal difference in terms of the city no longer involved in collecting your blue box material starting January 1st, 2026? Through Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Steele.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, the savings are very marginal.
That's why I told people I want a confirmation so that I don't just speak out of the blue. But that's the sense I got, and I'm glad it being confirmed. So now I can reply to people. I got to confirm from our professional, competent staff. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. I did. Okay, and then Councilor, you did speak. I'm sorry. Councilor Thompson, you wanted to say?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the mayor for bringing this budget forward. There was a lot to comprehend there for sure. And I appreciate, Councilor Davidson talking about the safety and so forth. And I certainly have a safety thing that I definitely want to make sure that, we have covered off in the budget. Last year, I'm pretty sure that we approved a pedestrian crosswalk upgrade on Bernard Avenue between Yonge and Yorkland. And that this year or during 2025, we were supposed to have the design phase done and completed. So I'm hoping that one of the 15 for 2026, that this is the one that will be done, because I understand there were some logistical issues that had to be included in this one because we're talking a 4-lane crossing, and I think we're looking at putting a median in the center so that it becomes a 2-stage crossing. So I just want to make sure that it is on track and that it will be in 2026, if I'm not,
Through the chair to Councillor Thompson, I'm very pleased to tell you that it is on track and it is a part of a traffic and calming measure that will be delivered next year. Yes, it is complicated as these things sometimes are, and that's the reason why sometimes there is some design and whatnot that's required, because it's a multi-lane road. It's referred to as a two-stage crossing. So yes, that's one of the 13 pedestrian crossover locations, which is part of the analysis that was undertaken as part of the TSOS a couple of years ago. So yes, it's happening.
Okay, much appreciated. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Councilor Silovitz, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank yourself as chair for all the work you do, our staff who do an amazing job under the very watchful eye of our treasurer. Thank you for presenting this to us today. And to Mayor West, I want to thank you as well. This is an excellent budget. And your presentation today was superb. And I would like to ask whether or not it's possible for communications to get a snippet of the mayor's presentation off our recorded live feed, and if it could be sent to members of council so we can get it out there, because that is the perfect explanation as to what we are doing and why we are doing. So is that through you, Mr. Chair, to our city manager? Is that possible?
Through you, Mr. Chair. And I'll defer to the commissioner, but my first glance at this would be that this entire presentation is for public viewing, already recorded. And as opposed to doing snippets of it,
Okay.
I would suggest that we promote the link to this particular budget committee, the whole meeting, and council, so that the public can scroll through that as they'd like. The mayor's presentation piece, we can promote that. But I wouldn't want to have staff decide what the snippets are.
Okay.
I think the public should decide
I
they'd like to see.
agree with you.
In addition to that, our treasurer will be working with communications once the budget gets approval at the next council meeting, hopefully. We'll be promoting that through our proper channels to all of our residents.
Thank you. I appreciate your insight. And I agree in retrospect. That's all I wanted to say. But again, thank you, Mayor West. This is an excellent, excellent budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the second round, we'll go back to Mayor West.
Okay, thank you very much. Believe it or not, after such a long presentation, I have more to say. Wait a minute, that wasn't supposed to be funny. No, okay, thank you. Thank you very much to everybody on council for your comments. I just wanted to wrap up a couple of things that were said. I really appreciate Gigi stepping in, because all the detailed and technical stuff, you say it way better than I'll be able to say it. But tax rate stabilization, that's a really good point, Councillor Shu. And we could have easily dipped into the tax rate stabilization account and knocked a percentage or two off the budget. And we have done that in the past, but it's not sustainable, and it creates a real problem in years to come. So we chose not to do that. We are using it a couple of times the way that fund should be used, which is one-time things that don't affect the next year's budget. So that I appreciate the answer for that. Staffing deferrals, that's hard because there are lots and lots and lots. And I know City Manager and Gigi and Regional Local Councillor Apollo and I talked a lot over the last number of months about how many staff we can put on and how many staff we need to hold back on. And, the fact of the matter is there's a whole lot more staff that we need to do the things we do, but we're going to have to make do with what we've got. And the ones that we hired this year, as you said, were critical. Like for example, the IT person. I mean, council made a decision a while ago to hire that IT person to make sure we, do everything in our power to avoid the kinds of problems that, insufficient IT resources can lead to in these times. The DC charges issue, it may not be affecting us as much as you might expect in this year or next year, but it's going to catch up on us. And it's not the deferrals that are they're a problem, but it's not so much the deferrals, it's the assault that we've had on DCs over the last number of years that I've been mayor, and it, eventually those fees that we collect from developers are the fees that go into a lot of the capital projects that relate to growth. And without those charges, I honestly, I don't even want to think about that. It keeps me up at night. But, and I think that goes to speaking about the whole need for a new model to finance cities. I am completely convinced now that all of the problems that I spend a lot of time advocating on behalf of council at different levels of government are certainly symptoms of a greater problem. But the greater problem is that cities are downloaded and strapped with a whole bunch of things that are completely unsustainable on the backs of property tax. We really need to have a conversation at a provincial and national level to get funding that's sustainable to help keep the tax burden where it is the fairest, and property tax is the most unfair tax that we pay. It really needs to change. I won't stop advocating for that. I can assure you. There was a question about Blue Box, and that's actually a good example, because the Blue Box program has been coming down the pike for a long, long time, and I believe there was an opportunity for cities to have the burden of recycling, financial burden of recycling, mitigated. But that's not how it ended up being played out. So now it's a bit of a zero financial situation where it could have been a savings for municipalities if they had leveraged some of the economies of scale that we as municipalities already had in place. But you know, those are the kinds of things that we need to be working on. And there was a question about pickleball. I want to be clear. We are still increasing pickleball facilities that we have in our city, but the thing that we're waiting for the most is the tennis and pickleball strategy to be finalized, because that strategy and many, many, many other strategies are the big things that guide the direction of this budget. And I'll just say the last thing I'd like to say is, like, no one likes paying taxes. I certainly don't either. But, you know, I have to say that when we're working this focused in a focused manner like this on the budget, I can tell you that I am excited about our community. And I know that the only way that we can fund the community that we're all proud of and that we're all excited about is to properly fund it through a well thought out, well managed, and you know, a well-made budget. And that's exactly what we've tried to craft here. There's many different ways that, you know, this up or do this differently and so on and so forth, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I want to assure everybody in the public and everybody here on council that this budget will deliver the kind of vitality that we need for the 2026 year. So thank you very much, everybody. And this, as you know, this will go to council I don't know, in a few weeks to be finalized.
Thank you. Great. And I just want to reiterate my thanks to our treasurer, Gigi Lee, our CAO, all the financial staff, but really everyone who's a part of this organization has a role to play in the budget. So I want to thank everyone for what they've done. And again, to thank Mayor West for allowing this committee to do what it does in the tradition that Richmond Hill has always had of bringing a budget forward with the consideration of all of council and the budget committee as a whole. I just a couple things to say. I'm very proud of where we're at with our tax rate. Extremely proud with all the factors out there, the rising costs and you know, accounting for over $2 million of revenue that we originally had in this budget for ASE, that we would have that that money had to be found. The fact that this is the smallest increase in staff complement and personnel that I can recall. Well, you know, I'll have to check the stats on that, but I don't think I've ever seen a budget with this small of an increase in staff, full-time FTEs. And when our residents get their tax bill, they're as well as we've done in comparison to other municipalities at the lower level, they're also going to see that big increase coming from the region, and that's going to be significant because that's a far bigger portion of their tax bill than what we're doing here today. But you know, that is an increase in policing, the cost of policing, and the change, the rise in crime, and the change in what our YRP has had to do in response to technological changes and just differences that hadn't been faced in previous years, and you know, also some collective bargaining. So that will offset a little bit the good work that we're doing here. So it's something that we have to be conscious of, and it's hard to ask for this kind of increase from our residents. But in light of all the factors that have been discussed here today, the fact that we're leveraging our tax to the maximum effect, and it really does go beyond the numbers. We're improving services in almost every way in what we deliver. Nothing is cut back, nothing is reduced. Our residents are getting the benefit of you know, so many well used dollars. And I'll just give one more example because I've talked a lot today, but Um, when it comes to green energy, it's something so important. When it comes to climate change, we didn't, we are leaders at the municipal level in doing and encouraging everything we can at the municipal level. But we didn't do it by spending a lot of money. We're not the leaders in spending money on climate change. We're the leaders in collaborating with our community, working with partners, drawing businesses, having an economic development plan that says we want this to be a hub for innovation and development in green energy. Costs us nothing, and in fact, we should get amplified and increased commercial tax revenue. You know, in our 404 business corridor, that's something we're trying to do. So there's a leadership role being played in so many different areas. I just highlight that one where this council and is compassionate and beyond the numbers. We're trying to do even more for residents of Richmond Hill, not by directly spending money, but by using incentives and small amounts of money in partnership with the community, with businesses and local groups. So I'm very proud of the budget. I'm happy to support it. I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, Mr. Clerk, that carries unanimously. We've got one more item on the agenda here. Yes, it's regarding the FIFA World Cup viewing events. Anyone want to move that? Councilor Liu.
Thank you very much, and thank you for saving the best for last, huh? Okay, so thank you very much for the report. I'm glad to see this comes back to council. This is my motion, this is council motion. I do have a few questions, with your indulgence, Mr. Chair. When I look at this, so I'm happy to see it makes sense to have Richmond Green Park and the Dave Barrows Square. Will the Dave Barrows Square be ready by the time, through you, Mr. Chair?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, it won't. It won't have started the new project.
Okay. So I put it in there. So is it for, it won't be ready, but it's in the report.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So we can still bring a stage in there. And
Oh, okay.
the screen
Oh,
maybe
okay.
without the park construction project having taken place. So the idea was to use that space because if there's lots of people around it, it helps to animate the downtown as opposed to always having it in Richmond Green.
Oh, I see. Okay. So not fully ready, but you're ready for the public viewing. So is it going to be Richmond Green and Dave Barrows Square or through you, Mr. Chair?
Through you, Mr. Chair, or, right? It's two events, two of the games at Richmond.
Oh,
Green
two.
And the other two at David.
Oh, I see. All right. Thank you. Good to know. So let's see. When I look at the budget, so it has the costs for licensing, which is estimate $1,000 per game. But when I look at the report, it still says subject to the licensing fee. So are we talking about the same license? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I see the nodding. Okay. So that's not too bad. $1,000 per game is pretty cheap. All right. Good. Thank you. And I'm glad to see that, you know, other cities shows no interest in doing this. The other thing is, marketing and promotion. So licensing is there. I'm just wanted to ask, so we only proposing to do 4 games, and we're not able to do more if Canada advance to the next stage. Is there a particular reason for that? Because when I see that we spend $65,000 capital into the infrastructure, I assume that, you know, it's the infrastructure is for future also. Mr. Chair.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So we endeavored, in making the recommendation, we endeavored to balance the operating budget with the desire to do games. So to pick a few that would make sense and not, the more games you add, the more the operating budget is going to go up because we have to do each of these things for every additional game. So the 65,000 in capital, it will be useful into the future. That's true. So that actually is work that is going to be done at these two sites eventually anyway. So it's linked with this because we will need it first to do this, but it could be used for other things as well.
All right, thank you. So what we're doing here is just to approve the budget, right? To add this amount into the budget. So will there be further report about more details about how we're going to do this in 2026?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if you approve the recommendation, then you are adding the money to the 2026 budget and no further reporting is needed.
Oh. Okay. That's it for now. Thank you. Of course. I'm moving it, yeah. Can I add more money?
More. Oh, sorry, city manager.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify that we'll be adding it to the budget, 2026 budget, but there's no increase to the tax rate.
Yeah. Okay, Mayor West?
I just wanted to thank you very much, Councillor Liu, for bringing this forward. This is going to be a great opportunity for our community. And that's the main thing, the main message here. But I also just wanted to reiterate that was said earlier. The $65,000 is there, if I understand it correctly, to bring high-speed internet to both Richmond Green and to Dayboro Square, which we needed in Dayboro Square to do anything like this in the future, and we have needed it in Richmond Green for quite some time now. So that part of the investment here is an investment that I'd like to see done as quickly as possible in advance of this, because the quicker we get it done, the quicker we can start to use it, particularly at Richmond Green. But I think that's really important, that it is really an investment that we're going to be using over and over and over and over and over again in those two facilities. Anyway, I'm going to go out and start shopping for Canada Soccer FIFA wear. So if any advice that people can give me would be great. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor West. I see no other speakers. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I mean, it's almost misleading that this motion is titled what it is, because it's about putting money into the budget to increase the capacity for these two venues to be able to show events going forward. And we're going to start with FIFA World Cup viewing events. So all in favor of the motion? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Okay. Motion for adjournment, Deputy Mayor Chan. All in favor? Any opposed? No discussion allowed? Okay. That passes.